carry the load. With having Paul George and Kawhi on your right and left side, it'll make it a lot easier for them as well. They have a lot of firepower in that team. Their bench is loaded too.
Danny Green on NBA Today. NHL, Islanders center Matthew Barzal, second on the team in points, out indefinitely with a lower body injury, a tough blow to their playoff pursuit. The Isles currently hold the second wild card spot in the East. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reports the Colts set to hire Jim Bob Cooter as their offensive coordinator. Indy's expected to use the 4th overall pick in the upcoming draft on a quarterback. Among the QBs Cooter's worked with as an NFL assistant, Peyton Manning, Matt Stafford, and Trevor Lawrence.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
And welcome into a Monday edition of After Further Review, a Lundy Graw edition of After Further Review. Matt Musso filling in for Matt Moscona. Scone is out all week. I will be in his place all week. Jacob Beck in my place all week over on the audio board, and Paul O'Neill in his normal place on the video board here for you this week. Great show planned here on Lundy Graw. LSU, of course, opens up year number 2 under Jay Johnson. Exactly how they should have, a 3-game sweep of Western Michigan. We will talk plenty of LSU baseball today. Obviously give opening thoughts just over on the weekend here. I know a lot of people have been talking about the offense this week, so I have a segment blocked off to just talk about LSU's offense and their performance against Western Michigan as well. And then next segment, really excited about this. LSU Friday Night Ace Paul Skenes will join the show. We'll talk with Paul about his connection with Folds of Honor and what he's doing to encourage donation to a great foundation in Folds of Honor, himself and through the LSU fan base. And of course, we will talk about the dominating effort that he displayed to open LSU season and really set the tone on Friday afternoon at Alec Box Stadium in his Tiger debut. So really looking forward to talking with Paul Skenes here in the next segment. College football, we'll talk a little bit of that here in the 4 o'clock hour. Some rule changes being proposed to shorten the game and also impact player safety. Ross Dellinger wrote a great article on that over at Sports Illustrated, so we'll talk about that, kind of detailing what those changes are, if they would be good for the game, and if you're kind of opposed to any or not. Love some feedback on that as well. The LSU basketball team, they lost their 14th straight game. We'll have a blurb on that. And it's heating up a little bit with Derek Carr after his visit to the New York Jets over the weekend. So we'll update the latest there. And Bill Barnwell over at ESPN did his yearly article where he predicted a offseason move for each team. So we'll go through the NFC South with that as well, which, I mean, man, if you thought this year was bad in the NFC South, next year it might actually be worse, honestly. It might be worse. So we will have all of that. Of course, Auto Locks to wrap the show, Tigers and the Pros, and everything in between here on After Further Review, and glad you're with us. So let's start, though, with LSU baseball. The Tigers get the 3-game sweep over Western Michigan at the box, 10-0 on Friday, 5-3 on Saturday, and 9-2 to finish it out on Sunday. Plenty to talk about from this. I'll give you a couple of takeaways. First and foremost, though, here was Jay Johnson yesterday after Game 3 talking about the weekend as a whole. This is number 1.
Yeah, I just think it's a brand of baseball. It's sustainable. Quality of bats on offense, great starting pitching, good out of the bullpen, great defense. And so what you saw is very translatable to SEC play, translatable to NCAA tournament play. So that's probably my biggest takeaway.
It was translatable. It was a great brand of baseball, and they won 3 games in 3 different ways, which I think is very important. Oftentimes, when you look at a team like LSU, who has all this expectation heaped upon them, a unanimous number 1 going in, talking about being potentially the most talented roster in LSU history, the most talented roster in the BB Core bat era of college baseball, all of those things were things we talked about. So there was a lot of expectation, and maybe it's hard to learn about your team going up against an opponent like Western Michigan. I actually thought this year you maybe learned more than you would in a normal year about LSU, and it's because they were able to win those games in 3 different ways. So let's kind of take them a little bit here one by one. You start on Friday, and Paul Skenes sets the tone. Obviously, just it's what you want out of your Friday night guy, right? You want that guy to go set the tone for the entire weekend, not just for that game. That's what Paul Skenes did. He was incredible. The 6 shutout innings, faced 4 over the minimum, struck out 12. It's the first time LSU has had a pitcher strike out 12 on opening day since Scott Schultz did it in 1995 against Lamar. If you are putting yourself in the category of Scott Schultz, who is second all-time in wins as a pitcher at LSU, you're doing something right. Paul Skenes did that, and it was dominant. He was able to extend 98 pitches in the 6th inning, and a lot of people maybe have a concern about that. It's kind of what Jay has done. I mean, you got Blake Money through 7 innings last year on opening day. They used that preseason period to extend these guys and have them ready to go. He was strong up until the end. Skenes' 96th pitch of the day was at 99 miles per hour. He was flawless. And LSU offensively, you got off to the hot start. 2 spot in the first. Paxton Clean gets hit by a pitch. Dylan Cruz singles. You go first to third. Tommy White singles promptly up the middle in his first at bat. Drives in the run, and you're off and running. And a sacrifice would bring home Dylan Cruz to get you the 2 spot. So you're off and running there. It was fantastic. Look, you broke it open in the 6th. Some walks got to Western Michigan, and you were able to break it open. And then the bullpen took you the rest of the way that day. Christian Little was fantastic. And when you look at Christian Little, he's a guy who relies heavily on his off-speed pitch and his breaking ball. And when he has that going, he is as good as anybody in the country because it just backs up that 95-mile-an-hour fastball. He had it working, and he was perfect. 6 up, 6 down in his 2 innings with three strikeouts. Micah Bucknam closed it out. So all in all, 10 runs, 9 hits. Again, you broke it open in the 6th inning. We'll get into a few standout performances as we go along, but there's your dominant effort, right? That's kind of what you expected, or I think most people expected a lot from LSU this weekend, was just the dominant performance where you got it on Friday, and then Saturday comes along, and it's not the dominant effort. I'm not going to sit here and tell you Saturday I ever thought LSU was really in jeopardy of losing that game. Again, Riley Cooper kind of sets the tone there. He faced 2 over the minimum, threw 5 1/3 no-hit innings, shutout baseball. He was awesome in only his 2nd start in his LSU career. I mean, fantastic was Riley Cooper. The 4-pitch mix was working. The fastball, it was up to 92 at some points from the left side. He was just really, really good. And again, your offense set the tone in the 1st inning. You got the 2 spot, Gavin Dugas, who we will talk plenty more about in the 4 o'clock hour when we go deep into the offense. Gavin Dugas leads it off with a home run over the left field bleachers, and you're off and running there. You add 2 more in the 4th inning while Riley Cooper's just doing his thing, and you're up 4-0. And look, Cooper ended up at 71 pitches. They go ahead and pull him, go to Bryce Collins, and Bryce didn't have his best stuff. That's just how it works sometimes. He will bounce back. He showed plenty of reasons last season for you to have confidence in him going forward. It just wasn't the best stuff, but it did create the first high leverage spot for LSU in the weekend, where in the top of the 6th inning, Collins leaves after allowing the 2 runs. Nate Ackenhausen comes in, and he has to face the best hitter on Western Michigan's team in Dylan Nevar from the left side, a reigning MAC freshman of the year, a preseason All-American, that caliber guy with a guy on base and 2 runs already in. And he gets him to ground out to first and nails the rest of the way. So in that game, it's not quite dominant. You weren't really in jeopardy of losing, but you had to hang on, right? You got to 4-2. You had to hang on. You manufactured an insurance run in the 8th inning beautifully. It was Josh Pearson who drove it in on a fielder's choice, and that gets you to 5-2. Ackenhausen gives up a solo shot in the 9th. It was a bomb off the scoreboard, but it didn't matter. You had a 3-run cushion, and it came with 2 outs, actually, I believe, and he gets the next guy and ends the ball game. So you weren't in jeopardy of losing, but you had to hang on. That's valuable going forth, and really manufacture that insurance run is something I liked as well. And then, look, Sunday, you had the highest leverage spot all weekend when Chase Shores left, and you bring in Sam Dutton with runners at 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. He gets a ground ball that ties the game at 1 because the runner from 3rd scores, and then gets a strikeout on 3 pitches to the next batter. So that one, yeah, it's a little hairy there for a moment, and then you pull away late in that game and end up with the 9-2 final score. So 3 different wins, 1 dominant, 1 where you had to kind of hang on, and 1 where you had to have a clutch pitching performance in the middle of the game. You got that from Sam Dutton, and then you were able to pull away late in that game, as LSU will do probably a lot on Sunday when teams are down to their kind of down to the ends of their pitching, which did happen to Western Michigan and will happen to plenty of teams. That's just the way of college baseball. Main takeaways for me, though, first and foremost, the pitching staff. They were awesome. It was just an assault on the strike zone all weekend from just about every LSU pitcher that ran out there. I thought Blake Money was fantastic. I thought Nate Ackenhausen was fantastic. Ty Floyd was perfect for 3 innings. Of course, your starting pitching, which was the biggest hole on your team last year, showed out just great. They gave up 1 run. You gave up 5 runs on the weekend. 1 of those runs came from your starters. Paul Skenes was shut out. Riley Cooper was shut out. And I thought Chase Shores pitched really well, man. That's a hard spot for that guy. And we've all thrown him so many bouquets so early in this season and the preseason because he is going to be that dude at LSU. He is that good. It just is a long way from high school on Sunday, pitching in Game 3 of the opening series in front of a really nice Sunday crowd at the box. And I think there were a few nerves there, but ultimately it didn't matter. He never let the moment get too big for him, even though he didn't have his best up. When he was walking a couple guys, he was able to wiggle out of those jams, and that's big going forward for him. So excited to see him now that he's got that first start out of the way, kind of go forth with the next. But I mentioned just the overall assault on the strike zone. LSU, they only walked 7 guys this weekend. They struck out 35. You're going to take that ratio every single weekend, and it's part of the reason you only gave up the 5 runs. Because, look, Western Michigan, they aren't world beaters by any stretch of the imagination, but they did return 4 of their top 5 leading hitters and the freshman of the year from their league, who's also a preseason All-American. The top of that order was capable, and LSU was able to hold it at bay all weekend long. So a hat tip to the pitchers, especially the bullpen. They only walked 2 guys all weekend. You got to come in and throw strikes out of the pen. That was fantastic to see as well. The other huge takeaway is the defense. Man, as much as it was talked about last year, as much as it was talked about preseason, how much better they were going to be, they were flawless this weekend. No errors for LSU's defense at all. Fielding 1,000 through 3 games. They turned some really nice double plays. Jordan Thompson made some nice plays at shortstop. I thought Gavin Dugas played a really nice second base the last 2 days. And they did all the little things, right? Great defense behind the plate from both Brady Neal and Milazzo, stopping the ball, keeping the running game in check, and handling the staff overall. So it was fantastic. And then, look, I said we're going to spend much more time on the offense in the 4 o'clock hour, but Jared Jones and Brady Neal were fantastic as freshmen. Jones hit 500. Neal hit 600. Gavin Dugas is on another planet right now. He hit 750 with the 2 homers. Somehow did not garner SEC Player of the Week, not even co-SEC Player of the Week, which is eye-popping because the guy hit 750. But I have a much longer take I'll get into on the offense. I think it was actually a much better weekend than most do with the 24 runs that they scored. And I think it's easy to see maybe where it lacked and why maybe it lacked for some when you kind of look at where the lineup is, and they still have to figure that out. So we'll get into that a little bit more later. But I thought great pitching, great defense. Your offense was very, very good situationally. You manufactured runs perfectly if you're LSU, and you came away with the 3 victories. And you'll play Southern tomorrow at 2 p.m. on Mardi Gras Day, looking to move to 4-0. Southern won a tournament in Houston, actually, over the weekend at Minute Maid Park. So they're coming in feeling good about themselves, too, and it should be a beautiful afternoon for Tiger baseball as they look to go 4-0. Right now, we're going to grab our first break of the show. Come back on the other side. LSU ace and reigning SEC pitcher of the week now, Paul Skenes, will join the show when we return. It's After Further Review here on a Monday, presented by Relief Windows.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Clegg's Nursery, 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Siega near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Any of the 4 locations, tell you every single day. Buy local, shop local over at Clegg's Nursery. Remember, this is the perfect time of year to plant trees and shrubs. They have a great selection of citrus trees right now over at Clegg's Nursery. So maybe you want some privacy shrubs from your neighbors. Clegg's has a great selection, great inventory, so get on by and see our friends at Clegg's Nursery. Any of the 4 locations, you know where they are all over town. They've been an institution for more than 60 years. And remember, Clegg's is partnered with True Value Hardware Store. So anything you'd find at a True Value Hardware Store, you'll also find at Clegg's Nursery. So if you're a green thumb or a do-it-yourselfer, it's one-stop shop at Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls Bands and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne. Plus two-time PBR World Champion Chris Shivers. And Brinson James, the Entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th. Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. The #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
Women who suffer from cardiac arrest outside of a hospital are less likely than men to receive life-saving CPR from bystanders. This is especially true for Black and Latino women. Be the one in your family to help change this statistic by taking the American Heart Association's challenge to learn CPR. Be the beat for someone you love. You can make a difference when it matters most. Go to heart.org today to take the CPR challenge and save lives.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue,
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Yeah, it was a great job by Paul, and that's what we've seen since he's been here. I mean, he closed the game out against my team when he was a freshman, so I'd seen that before, and that's what we brought him here for, and I expect. I don't know if he'll have whatever many punch outs he did, but it was 1-2 to every hitter, and just the strike zone pressure was phenomenal.
Jay Johnson on Friday afternoon after Paul Skenes carved up Western Michigan, 6 shutout innings, 12 strikeouts in his LSU debut, earning him SEC Pitcher of the Week for week number 1. Also partnered up with Folds of Honor, a great initiative where he's helping to raise money for scholarships for military families, spouses, children of military families who either lost their loved ones in battle or had their loved ones be wounded in battle as well. And Paul Skenes joins us now on After Further Review. Paul, we appreciate the time, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Paul, we're going to talk plenty about Folds of Honor, plenty about the work you've done leading up to the season, plenty about opening day and the success you had there. But I got to know, man, what's been the biggest adjustment for you coming from a service academy to LSU? Not necessarily baseball, just biggest adjustment in general.
Yeah, I would say the biggest life adjustment is having a lot more free time. And it's not like I have a ton of, now being a, student athlete and all that, like you can't really have a ton of free time anywhere. But yeah, there was just a lot more on my plate when I was at the Air Force Academy in terms of school and the military side of it, that it kind of almost detracted a little bit from the athletic side of it. But yeah, that's been the biggest thing.
So Friday went pretty well. 6 shutout, 12 strikeouts on only 1 walk. How was it, man? Did it live up to the expectations? I mean, I know they had to move the game up, so maybe the atmosphere wasn't exactly what it would normally be on an opening day. But I mean, we had known since media day that you were going to be the Friday night guy. There was a lot of time to build up to it. Did it reach your expectations?
Yeah, it was a really cool experience for me. I don't know that I had expectations necessarily. I honestly didn't know what to expect, so kind of just went into it without any expectations. So that I guess I couldn't get surprised by something that I didn't think would be there, something like that. But it was a really cool experience for me, something that I'll remember for the rest of my life for sure. And it was really cool to have that many people. I don't know how many people were at the game, but it was really cool to have that many people, behind my back and cheering me on as we played. So yeah, it was everything I could have asked for from a debut.
What worked so well?
What worked so well?
What worked so well for 6 shutout and 12 strikeouts in your first in your LSU debut?
Yeah, it was cold. So I knew that I wouldn't have. Yeah. To be honest, I'm a little bit used to that, but
yeah,
the big thing with pitching in the cold is you can't rely on your spin quite as much, and your off-speed pitches quite as much. So I was lucky for sure. I had my 4-seam fastball was working, and so I pretty much leaned on that throughout the entire outing. That was by far the primary pitch that I used. Threw a few sliders that got good swing and miss, and really the fastball command and making pitches when I needed to make pitches. That was everything I could have asked for, everything I prepared for, in the week prior. So yeah, it was a cool experience.
LSU Friday night starter Paul Skenes is our guest. You can follow him on Twitter at Paul_Skenes. Paul, I got to know, were you a little bummed you didn't get to swing the sticks at all this weekend in the lineup?
Not too bad, just because of how well Friday went, but that'll come.
Absolutely. Of course, that was all the rage, man. Paul Skenes going to be a two-way player at LSU, and maybe not so fast yet, but it'll come. It'll come. Paul, let me talk to you a little bit about Folds of Honor, man. It's a great organization. Obviously, the Service Academy background, but how did you come to be involved with the organization of Folds of Honor?
I was actually in a class with one of the, I want to say that like one of the office's secretaries or something like that. I was in a class with her son when I was at Air Force. He was a baseball player, a year older than me. So I basically asked my coach there, what organization should I partner with? Because I knew I wanted to do something, and he immediately said Folds of Honor. They do stuff with the baseball team pretty frequently, and there was that connection there as well. With the kid who was on the baseball team his freshman year. So it was very personal to me, and I knew that if I want to do something with a military charity, a military organization, I wanted to get it done right, and kind of keep it in the family. Kind of guaranteed that for me.
You can go to Paul Skenes' Twitter again at Paul_Skenes. It's his latest tweet. He has the graphic up with a link for you to donate. But Paul, you've worked out a system of your own donating, and man, it got off to a pretty good start on Friday. Tell us how you have partnered specifically with Folds of Honor and how you're pledging money yourself.
Yeah, so I'm pledging $10 for every strikeout this year that I throw. So it's kind of just an initiative. If people want to, donate $1 per strikeout or $5, $10, whatever they want to donate per strikeout, or just a flat donation. I think that's available on there. But kind of joining, linking LSU baseball and Folds of Honor and the military together. Some things that I'm definitely passionate about for sure, and kind of creating a way to support LSU baseball and support Folds of Honor, support people who frankly need our support. So that was the idea behind it.
In Folds of Honor, a charity helps provide scholarships to spouses and children of American heroes. And first responders now actually has been added as well. It's been in existence since 2007. FOH.org/Paul Skenes. That's the link again. Go to his Twitter as well. Paul, how are we feeling about this coming up week, man? Start number 2. You're going to be facing Kansas State.
I'm excited. Excited to go on the road for the first time. Hopefully wear the purple jerseys again on the road in Texas. I think that's a home game for us, but effectively it's on the road. I know we'll have a lot of fans there. We're kind of getting used to that. That was something that I did a lot at Air Force. I think my freshman year we were on the road for 9 out of our first 10 weekends. And it's a little different dynamic here, but something that I enjoy, going on the road representing LSU in Texas and Round Rock. But it'll be a fun trip. We're confident with what we have with our opponents this weekend, and obviously have to go out there and continue to prove it. But I think we're in a good spot for this weekend with our rotation, and I think the bats will start to come alive a little bit more also.
Hey, you mentioned the purple jerseys. Okay, so a lot of people were talking about that this week because LSU, they've always kind of had the rotation. They'd wear white on Friday, purple on Saturday, and of course the Sunday golds, the championship golds. Did you get to pick the uniform on Friday? You mentioned hoping to wear it again. Does Jay give you input on that, the starting pitcher?
He does. Yeah. I think I don't know what I want to say Saturday and Sunday get a choice, and then Friday and Saturday get a choice, and then Sunday it's the Sunday golds. But yeah, since I came here, since I've watched LSU baseball, I've loved the purple jerseys, and I like that it says Skenes on the back. So those are the ones that I'm going to choose as much as I can this year.
All right, man. Hey, I like it. It's good. I mean, look, normally everyone's always about the gold. Everyone always associates those gold jerseys with LSU. I'm kind of with you, man. I like the purple. I like the purple a lot, and I think everyone listening is also very happy that it says Skenes on the back of the jersey, especially after Friday as well. So, Paul, look, man, we appreciate it. Look, y'all get over to his Twitter. Get over to Folds of Honor. Again, FOH.org/Paul Skenes. Donate. It's a great cause, and keep track of those strikeouts, man. He got off with 12. He's going to add to that total plenty more. So, Paul, we appreciate the time. Best of luck the rest of the season, man. We'll be in touch.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. That is Paul Skenes. LSU fans, y'all go out there, support a great cause. Help the ace of the staff, man. Look, that's something that Tiger fans have been great at doing. Obviously, we can always think back to Joe Burrow's Heisman speech, right, and the food bank and whatnot. This is another opportunity to do something. So, again, FOH.org/Paul Skenes. If you can, go donate to Folds of Honor and kind of in conjunction with Paul Skenes. He mentioned there's plenty of options there where you can, pledge $1, $5, $10 per strikeout for him. He's doing 10 himself. So get over to Folds of Honor, FOH.org/Paul Skenes and donate. And he's going to raise a lot of money for Folds of Honor if he keeps striking out 12 every single game. So really enjoyed the chat with Paul Skenes. How about that, too? He gets to pick the jersey. He picked the purple jerseys. All right. Everybody, why aren't they wearing white? Well, Paul Skenes wants to wear purple. And if he's going to strike out 12 and throw 6 shutout innings, LSU is going to wear purple jerseys. We're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. We'll go around the SEC like normal in the third segment and chug along here on Monday AFR, presented by Relief Windows.
AFR.
Brought to you by New Orleans Flooring, online at nolaflooring.com. 2 locations, Metairie, and, of course, Airline Highway in Prairieville. If you're going south on Airline in Prairieville, you pass the Walmart, look to the right. You can't miss it. It's New Orleans Flooring. Go to nolaflooring.com, nolaflooring.com. The thing that really sets them apart, they've got amazing people. You can go see Terrell. You can go see Big Sean. Great people there. They got everyday low prices. You can get the free in-home estimate. They got the mobile showroom. You can get inspired there on the website. It's a great resource to go to. Financing is available. But what sets them apart more than anything is they cut out the middleman. Because they have more than 1 million square foot of product in stock, they cut out the middleman and they can give you the best price. I mean, you're talking about saving 40, 50, 60% on flooring. Go where the pros go. Go to New Orleans Flooring. That's nolaflooring.com. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, and online at nolaflooring.com.
Corvette Toyota in Opelousas is spreading the love this month with amazing deals. Get 3.99% financing on new 23 Highlanders, and as always, you'll never pay over MSRP. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corvette Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls Bands and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne, plus two-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
Women who suffer from cardiac arrest outside of a hospital are less likely than men to receive life-saving CPR from bystanders. This is especially true for Black and Latino women. Be the one in your family to help change this statistic by taking the American Heart Association's challenge to learn CPR. Be the beat for someone you love. You can make a difference when it matters most. Go to heart.org today to take the CPR challenge and save lives.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Remember, download that DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. Great NBA special this week. Make a $5 money line bet on any NBA game. They'll give you $150 in free bets if it hits. That's at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Again, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. New customers, use the promo code Baton Rouge. Make a $5 money line bet on any NBA game. If it hits, they'll give you $150 in free bets. You got stepped up same game parlays. You got so many things on the table to make the games more interesting, more fun, more exciting when you're in the game. Of course, you know, Otter Locks is coming up, so you want to be betting, make sure you download that DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the promo code Baton Rouge. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus issued as free bets. Opt-in required. One free bet issued based on amount of initial losing NBA bet. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. Licensing partner Gold Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537.
One storyline that seems to come around every NFL offseason always revolves around Eric Bieniemy. And normally it was head coaching wise. Well, this time Eric Bieniemy is on the move from the Kansas City Chiefs, but he's now with the Washington Commanders. So late on Friday, Eric Bieniemy and the Commanders agreed that he would become the new offensive coordinator. It was made official over the weekend with the contract. And it's a little bit different of a situation. A lot of people were kind of, man, he's making a lateral move. Why would he make a lateral move? Well, it's not quite a lateral move, and not even really quite entitled. But I do have a couple thoughts. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I do have a couple thoughts about maybe why he made the move and if it could lead him to landing a head coaching job in the future. So why I would say it's not quite a lateral move, and Mike Florio at Pro Football Talk kind of elaborated on this. While coaching contracts and salaries is not normally made public in the NFL, Eric Bieniemy was always on a 1-year deal in Kansas City as the OC. It was always year to year. This is going to be a multi-year deal with the Commanders, so obviously that's one reason to go take it. But the 1 year, year-to-year deal, you would call it, with Kansas City always allowed him to kind of take another job if he needed to, or he wasn't necessarily tied down, or if they wanted to part ways, it was easier to do so. The other main difference is he'll be the primary play caller in Washington. He was not, obviously, in Kansas City when you had Andy Reid doing that, and he's also got the title of associate head coach now. Here's one reason I think this maybe could, because that's always the question with Eric Bieniemy, right? And it's only really him. Man, he's had so much success. How is he not a head coach yet? And is it the interview? Is it what goes wrong with it? And I think this opportunity with Washington could potentially maybe fast track him to that even more if the success is replicated. Now you are the primary play caller. Now it's hard to say this is a positive. You're separated from Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick Mahomes is thought to be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time already, which is bold. But, I mean, you can make the argument already he's one of the best of all time. He definitely is the best quarterback in the game today. So if you separate yourself from that and you go have success with Sam Howell at Washington, which is a miserable franchise, let's just be honest, they're terrible. Currently a miserable franchise. They've had plenty of success. Let me clarify that. I don't want the rogue Washington Commanders fan in the listenership that undoubtedly exists to get all upset. But you separate yourself from that. If you go have success at a similar level with Sam Howell in Washington, you're going to get even more looks when you are that primary play caller, even though you do have the multi-year deal now and you take on more responsibility with the associate head coach. I get it. I get the move from him. Maybe, look, it's obviously not going to be easier without Patrick Mahomes, but it's more to prove for him as he continues his quest to one day be a head coach in the NFL. And I think most would agree that one day he will be a head coach in the National Football League. It's just been a very interesting journey and taking longer than normal maybe. And another kind of winding twist in the road as Eric Bieniemy's leaving Kansas City, where he's been part of 2 Super Bowls, and is now in Washington with the Commanders, who are just trying to get their head above water. But that one of the more interesting moves of the offseason, it always is one of the more interesting conversations around the NFL offseason, is what becomes of Eric Bieniemy. And this year we actually have an answer that's not offensive coordinator with the Kansas City Chiefs. So just something to kind of keep an eye on. All right, let's do what Matt does every time this day. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions.
Alrighty, so we're going to go across the SEC here, look at the basketball scores and the baseball scores from over the weekend, kind of give some thoughts on each. South Carolina beat LSU 82-73. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Alabama, after losing as in their first game as number 1, destroyed Georgia in their second game as number 1, and now they're not number 1 anymore. 108-59, the Tide roll over Georgia. Kentucky at home upsets Tennessee behind 16-6 from Wallace, 66-54. The Wildcats over the Volunteers. Arkansas, who is playing much better basketball as of late, the Must Bus, 84-65. Graham, their leading scorer, with 26. They defeated the Florida Gators. The Egg Bowl on the hardwood. Mississippi State went into the Pavilion, knocked off Ole Miss in overtime, 69-61. Texas A&M 69-60 over Missouri in that game. And Vanderbilt, the Vanderbilt Commodores, who are LSU's next opponent and have now won 5 straight games, knocked off the Auburn Tigers by 2, 67-65. It was a busy weekend on the diamond in the Southeastern Conference. Some surprising results, most of them taking place in the SEC East. But let's start with Alabama. The Tide swept Richmond 3 games. The final score of Sunday 14-1. So Alabama 3-0 so far to start the season. They remain ranked in the top 25. Arkansas, they were playing in a tournament in Arlington, the college baseball showdown. Went 2-1 in that tournament. Took it on the chin against TCU, but did beat Texas by 1 and put it on Oklahoma State yesterday, 18-1. Hogs roll in that one. They are 2-1 on the season. Auburn finished 2-1 on the week as well. They took it on the chin against Indiana on Sunday, 11-2. That dropped them to that 2-1 record. The Florida Gators, who have a formidable pitching rotation to start, we'll just say that, swept Charleston Southern 3 games, shut them out to end it 8-0 yesterday. Florida up to number 2 in some polls around the country. The Georgia Bulldogs lost Friday to Jacksonville State, took the next 2 of the series, so they're 2-1 on the year. 10-5 was your final score on Sunday. Kentucky 2-1. They lost the game in between there to Elon, but did shut out Elon 4-0. They actually played that game on the road. Kentucky was on the road at Elon, which is shocking. Mississippi State took care of business Friday. On Saturday, the Bulldogs, they were playing VMI, were up 10-1 after 2 innings, then proceeded to commit 3 errors and walk 12 batters and lose that baseball game 14-13. They pulled away late in the 8th inning yesterday to beat Virginia Military Institute 9-3 and take that series 2-1. Missouri, perhaps one of the biggest surprises of the SEC weekend in baseball. They were also in Arlington as part of the college baseball showdown. They walked off Texas in their second game. They defeated TCU. They were the only team to defeat TCU in the weekend, 9-8. A late run in the 8th inning gave Missouri that lead. So impressive from Missouri, who not many people expect much of, as actually they were picked to finish last in the SEC East. Maybe they're a little bit better than expected. Ole Miss swept 3 games from Delaware, 14-4 was your final score yesterday. South Carolina swept 3 games from UMass Lowell, 12-1 was your score yesterday. Texas A&M swept 3 games from Seattle U, 14-2 was your final yesterday. And then these are the 2 that I want to talk about a little bit. Vanderbilt, they went 2-1 in the college baseball showdown. Had their best pitching performance yesterday. They beat Texas 12-2. Gave up a lot of runs prior to that, though. Their one loss was to TCU, 11-4. And then here's the one that grabbed the most headlines. Tennessee, a 1-2 weekend out in the Desert Invitational. Really odd tournament. It was played at 3 different ballparks over 3 days. Just different. Tennessee lost opening night to Arizona. TJ Nichols, the Arizona ace, really handcuffed that lineup, held them to 1 run. Chase Dollander was great. It just, you only scored 1 run. Then they went and lost to GCU 4-3, committed 3 errors in that game, and only scored 3 runs. Yesterday, they beat UC San Diego, 7-0 to claim their first win of the year. It's worth noting, Tennessee, they started 0-2 this year. It took them till April last year to lose their second game of the season. It's been different for Tony Vitello so far. They had to replace a lot of that lineup, and it really showed. They're great on the mound. Chase Dollander, Chase Burns, they were very good in the 2 games that they lost. It just, you didn't score up. You scored 4 runs, and you committed 4 errors, I think, total in those games. It was a rough start to Tennessee. They'll be fine, though. They'll be back. Come first weekend of April when they're at the box, they'll be pretty darn good. That is Around the SEC. It's presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, as it is every single day here on After Further Review. We're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. The NBA All-Star Game and All-Star Weekend took place, and it was quite fruitful for a couple of New Orleans Pelicans. Want to talk Trey Murphy, want to talk Jose Alvarado to close out hour number 1. That's next here on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, and Bluebonnet. Dine in or carry out 24 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, and sports on TV. What more could you possibly want? How about sandwiches? Well, they've got those. What about salads? Pluckers actually has really underrated salads. Giant, gorgeous, fresh salads. You can actually eat healthy at Pluckers. Or you could just binge. Award-winning jumbo chicken wings tossed in your favorite sauce. You want to create your own menu item? Do it. They encourage the creativity. Great sides as well, like the cheese fries, the El Guapo dip, maybe the homemade blue cheese potato chips, holy macaroni, fried pickles. They got it all at Pluckers. Nicholson, just south of campus. Bluebonnet right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. The best place to watch the game, which game? Any game, is at Pluckers, because you can eat wings, drink beer, and watch sports on TV. Remember, at Pluckers, if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. An audit released today details the scheme at the West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office that went on for years, allowing an employee over ticket collections to pocket nearly $160,000 in stolen money. As a result, big changes were made in the office, but employees say it comes a little too late after there were a lack of checks and balances at the agency. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
We remind you about Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com. That's where you can check them out, Michelli.com. Remember, at Michelli, they do offer ISO 17025 accreditation. You can learn more at Michelli.com and other accreditations and standard calibrations as well. Michelli.com, Michelli.com. All of their different services and products are at the website. The website is a great virtual font of resources. So many times clients will say, oh, I didn't know you did that. Go to Michelli.com. The track system that they offer is a great asset. Track records, assets, and calibrations. It's an acronym. And what this allows you to do is track the status of the calibration of your devices. And then it also gives you a record of those calibrations at your fingertip online for free, 24/7, 365, so you can be more efficient. Michelli Weighing and Measurement.
Back here, Lundy Graw edition after further review. Musso sitting in for Scone. Scone's out all week, so I'll be in the chair all week, filling in for Scone. He'll be back on Monday and recap everything that happened over the weekend. But we got a long way to go until there, and I'm looking forward to the week, man. Got some good stuff planned, and There will be plenty of LSU baseball talk, obviously, throughout the entire week. The Pelicans will be back on the floor later in the week. LSU men's basketball, they're still trying to get off the schneid. So the Saints offseason rolls on. LSU football offseason rolls on. We've got plenty to talk about today, the rest of today, and throughout the entire week. So looking forward to it. Glad you're with us, however you are, especially on a holiday Monday for most of us here across the state. So excited to have you along now and for the rest of the week. So the NBA All-Star Weekend has wrapped up. Obviously, it's a spectacle as normal, right? You had the Rising Stars tournament, which we're going to talk about here momentarily on Friday. You had the dunk contest, the skills competition, the three-point contest all on Saturday, and then the NBA All-Star Game was last night. I want to focus in mainly, though, on Trey Murphy and Jose Alvarado because they both had very, very nice weekends ancillary to the All-Star Game, right? Neither in the All-Star Game, but both played a massive role All-Star Weekend. Let's start with Jose. Jose Alvarado was one of two, obviously Trey Murphy as well, competing in the Rising Stars game, which it's really the Rising Star Games. It's a tournament. You have 4 teams. They play a total of 3 games. 2 teams match up game 1, game 2. The winner of that plays championship, try to win the tournament. Jose Alvarado was awesome. I don't know if you watched any of it, but he was awesome. He won the MVP of the Rising Stars tournament. 18 points combined over the 2 games, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal across those 2 games. In the first game, he shot 60% from the floor. I mean, Jose Alvarado was everywhere. And it was awesome to watch him make that statement on a stage the size of All-Star Weekend. Because I think everybody here, we obviously know how good Jose is. He's adored in New Orleans and Southeast Louisiana, anywhere the Pelicans are followed and cheered for. Jose Alvarado is adored. And it's a lot of, it's said often, he's the type of player who, if he's on your team, you love him. If he's not, you hate him. And it's very true. But the spark that guy provides the building when he comes in, the spark that guy provides the Pelicans team when he comes in is undeniable. And one of the reasons he's so adored and loved by Pelicans fans everywhere is that. And for him to be able to show that on a stage the size of All-Star Weekend, I thought was awesome. And he wasn't done. He helped Trey Murphy out in his dunk contest that we'll get to here momentarily. Trey Murphy was also in the Rising Stars game as well. His team, they lost their first game, so he only got 1 game. But Trey played well. Trey played almost 12 minutes in the game. He knocked down a 3, shot 50% from 3-point range technically, and it was a nice way to kick it off for him. Where Trey Murphy's weekend really got fun was the dunk contest, and I thought Trey was great. Look, the dunk contest kind of is what it is these days. It's lost a lot of its luster. I think that's fair. But having Trey Murphy in it is absolutely a reason, or was absolutely a reason to tune in. And I thought he had some great dunks. He ended up in the finals. He lost to Mac McClung. Mac McClung did the same dunk, and I'm actually kind of angry about it. Like, he did the same dunk. You jumped over people. That dunk, while impressive, has got to stop getting 50s because you see it every year. Someone does it every year. Like, guys in the NBA can jump over people or multiple people and dunk a basketball. Newsflash. I get it. It's hard. It's an impressive feat of athleticism. You do it every year. He did it twice in the same dunk contest. That's a little lame. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just being a homer and wanted Trey Murphy to win. Fine, whatever. I thought Trey's between the legs dunk and behind the 360 all in one was much more impressive, but whatever. But this one right here that Paul has on the screen was my favorite dunk of the entire night. When he incorporated Jose Alvarado in to do the Grand Theft Alvarado, where Trey Murphy, he drove baseline, acted like he was going to throw it up and dunk, didn't. It was a fake out. He turns around, starts dribbling back towards the arc, and Jose Alvarado comes out of the crowd, steals the ball from him, and then ultimately gives him the assist on the dunk. I thought it was incredibly creative. It plays, obviously, to the New Orleans Pelicans fans. It plays to NBA fans because you see Jose do that all the time. That's how I think you really kind of rejuvenate the dunk contest, creativity like that. So I thought that was really cool. Great to see those guys kind of shine on the All-Star Weekend stage. Wish Trey Murphy could have taken it home. But again, congrats to Jose Alvarado for taking home the Rising Stars Tournament MVP. Pelicans are back on the floor on Thursday. They will visit the Toronto Raptors. They are 30-29, sit in the 7th spot right now as they come out of the All-Star break. And they'll, of course, look to make a run, man. Get back into the playoffs, maybe get back even up to the 4 seed if possible, but definitely into that 6th spot. That's going to put a button on hour number 1. We will grab a break, come back on the other side. Some rule changes being proposed in college football. Are we in favor of them? We'll tell you next. AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Mold Zero, mold-0usa.com. That's mold-0usa.com. Check them out online. I tell you this all the time. If you notice mold, if mold is a problem, or even odors, Mold Zero can help. And so often people see mold and they think, we're going to have to cut sheetrock. We're going to have to pull things out of the wall. No. With Mold Zero, this is easy. This is minimally invasive with little or no disturbance in that respect. They'll come in. They will spray their fog. You let it dwell. Wait about a couple hours or so for the fog to dissipate. Then you go back into your home. That fog gets into every nook and cranny, so it kills mold and other pathogens. It'll remove odor. They service the entire greater Baton Rouge and greater New Orleans area. So check them out at mold-0usa.com to get that free quote and estimate. mold-0usa.com.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside off the bench anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls Bands and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman.
Rockin' a hard place.
With Timothy Wayne. Plus two-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers. And Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th. Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. The #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
Women who suffer from cardiac arrest outside of a hospital are less likely than men to receive life-saving CPR from bystanders. This is especially true for Black and Latino women. Be the one in your family to help change this statistic by taking the American Heart Association's challenge to learn CPR. Be the beat for someone you love. You can make a difference when it matters most. Go to heart.org today to take the CPR challenge and save lives.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. After he completes his contract buyout with the Jazz, guard Russell Westbrook plans to sign with the Clippers, reports ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. The Lakers traded Westbrook to Utah last week as part of a 3-team deal. The chance to compete for a championship and remain in L.A. did play a significant part of Westbrook's decision. There's a lot to love about this move, Westbrook to the Clippers. For First Take host Stephen A. Smith.
With his athleticism, his fire, the fire in his belly, his athleticism, his passion for the game, his reliability to show up in uniform on a night-in, night-out basis. And you're talking about that along with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George.
NHL, the Islanders taking a major injury hit during their playoff push. Center Matthew Barzal, second on the team in points, out indefinitely with a lower body injury. New York currently holds the second and final wildcard spot in the East. Pittsburgh is in the top wildcard spot. Penguins do host the Islanders tonight, 7 Eastern, ESPN+. Soccer, Liverpool American owner John Henry ruling out sale of the club, seeking investment instead.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
If you haven't
Matt
taken problems off the bat,
I'm very important. After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Welcome in hour number 2 of After Further Review. Matt Musso filling in for Matt Moscona. Be here all week filling in for Scone as he's off to Napa for vacation. He will be back on Monday. Great first hour in the books. Talked plenty of LSU baseball. Friday night starter Paul Skenes joined the show as well to talk about his stellar effort in Game 1 against Western Michigan, as well as the initiative he's partnered up with Folds of Honor for. You can go back and listen to that interview on demand, of course, AFR on demand, presented by Brett Goff, or any of your podcast apps as well as where you can find anything you missed from the show, and watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel as well. If you're there, hit the like button. We're rolling along here. Plenty still to come. We're going to talk more LSU baseball. We still have some Saints and NFC South to talk as well. LSU basketball, they lost their 14th straight game. They're still not very good. Otterlocks still to come at the end of the show as well. But what I wanted to start with here in the 4 o'clock hour, I'm sure many of you have seen this by now, is proposed rule changes in college football to shorten the game to reduce plays for both safety and game length reasons. We have an obsession in wanting to shorten sporting events. An absolute obsession. On Friday, Matt and I kind of went back and forth on the new rules for baseball, college baseball, and I hate all of them because I don't think you should put a clock on baseball in any way. You get 27 outs. The game is the game, whatever. And I think also some of their clocks are a bit ridiculous, like 30 seconds for a pitching change. But whatever. That's just another example. You've seen it in Major League Baseball. They've gone ways. Now you're seeing it in college football. And Ross Dellinger at Sports Illustrated wrote a fantastic piece detailing all of this, as Ross normally does. It's one reason he's the best at what he does. And it's been a years-long effort in ways to shorten college football games. Again, both for reducing the number of plays for player safety and game length times. There's 4 proposals. 4 proposals. And this is the high-ranking college football leaders, right? It's the 10 FBS commissioners and 2 from the FCS level that are looking at this. And there's 4, 2 of which are considered, as Ross writes here, non-controversial, 1 that has garnered wide support, and a 4th that has left some divided. So if you haven't seen it, these are the proposals. First, the non-controversial proposals. Number 1, prohibiting consecutive timeouts, like icing the kicker. In one dead ball period, you cannot call back-to-back timeouts. Number 2, no longer extending a first or third quarter for an untimed down. If the quarter ends on a defensive penalty, the down is clocked at the start of the next quarter. Those are seem like they're just like, okay, fine, yeah, you know what? We don't really need that anyway. Sure, whatever. The third one that has garnered wide support is that the clock will run after an offensive gains a first down, except for inside 2 minutes. The fourth one is that the clock would run after an incomplete pass. So those are your four. Let's kind of take them individually. The prohibiting consecutive timeouts, I'm fine with that. Sure, whatever. That's not going to shave a lot of time off of the game. I'm not even really sure that's going to decrease your play, the number of plays in a game. But the example Ross gives in the article is icing the kicker, and icing the kicker, even at the college level, I'd love to see the statistics. It doesn't feel like it works that much, so I'm fine with that, whatever. No longer extending the first or third quarter for an untimed down. Sure, why not? I mean, again, I don't think that really that decreases your time of game. It's not going to decrease the play because you're still getting that play. Like you're still going to have that play. It's just going to be run on the clock. So maybe that shaves half a play off the game. I don't know. I'm not looking at the numbers, but fine. I can absolutely see why those are non-controversial, and I don't think either of those are going to really, shave time off of a college football game. The one that garners the wide support is interesting to me, that the clock will continue to run after an offense gains a first down, except for within 2 minutes and a half. So 2 minutes in the second quarter, you gain first down, clock stops. 2 minutes in the fourth quarter, clock stops, whatever. You get it. And I like that. And it's part of the reason I'm against the fourth one. I think the reason this has garnered wide support is it's inconsequential until you get into the 2 minutes remaining of the second, or of the first half and of the game. You see it in the NFL every week. The clock doesn't stop for a first down, and it's fine. Or do you really need to stop the clock to move those chains? No, you don't. I'm not sitting here saying that's going to shave a lot of time off, but what I do want it at the end of games, at the end of halves, when you're running a 2 minute drill. And that's why I think the way they're doing that could be great. That one actually, I think, impacts length of game and plays because you are shaving valuable time off of the game there. The one that should absolutely never happen is the incomplete pass rule. That's absurd. And it's because of the 2 minute drill. That fundamentally alters strategy in football. Fundamentally alters strategy in football if you were to say, incomplete pass, just keep the clock running. And for the whole game. For you to not even say, incomplete pass, clock runs, but within 2 minutes of the half or within 2 minutes of the game, we'll stop the clock. That's not what this is. This is any incomplete pass, any time in the game, clock continues to run, and that's terrible. Because it fundamentally alters strategy in the game of football. If you're going on a 2 minute drill, you don't have anybody open, you're trying to throw the ball away, stop the clock, and save time for extra plays. You would take that away with this rule, and that's stupid. That's terrible. And I know a lot of people are going to say, is there other ways to shorten the game than changing how it is? That no one's upset about the length of game time. And look, personally, I'm not really that upset with the length of a game time for college football or the NFL. And the NFL is very succinct in their game time, honestly. College football can get a little out of hand. For example, Ross cites in the article, the average game times dating back to 2018. 2018 was 3 hours and 16 minutes. 19 was 3 hours and 16 minutes. 23 hours and 21 minutes. 318 in 21 and 321 again this past season. You compare that to the NFL, it hovers around 3 hours and 10 minutes. So, I mean, it's about 11 minutes shorter, kind of 6 to 11 minutes shorter on average there, which I guess is significant. But these rule changes, most of them, except for that incomplete pass, brings you more on par with the NFL, right? The clock doesn't stop for first downs. You have the untimed down rule there. You have, you can't call back-to-back timeouts in the NFL on a one possession. Those all make sense. The one I would have the biggest problem with is the incomplete pass rule for the reasons that we just laid out. But again, like I said, I know plenty of people are going to try to find ways other than that. And one that I can already hear some of you listening or anyone who's read this article say, what about review? That's one of the same things you hear in baseball, too. Oh, you're doing all these things to shorten baseball, but then you add review to the game and it goes long. And review in college football is a bit out of hand. And people would always say, put a clock on review. Well, I get it. But if you put a limit of 3 minutes or however long, or two minutes, whatever your number, pick your number, I don't care, on review, if you have a play at the very end of that game that's really close, that could go either way, you want them to take the amount of time necessary to determine the correct ruling on the field. That's what review is about. It's about getting the call right at all costs. And it is a good thing for the game. The problem with college football is it's oversaturated with reviews. You look at the NFL is the coach's challenge and every scoring play. The coach's challenge and every scoring play is reviewed in the NFL. In college football, you have a guy in the booth reviewing every damn play and then can buzz down and stop plays and on things that necessarily don't factor in, don't alter the course of the game in the second quarter more often than not. Sometimes it does, right? But there's so many plays that you can't go back to that one review of, it's not even change of possession or anything like that. It's, let's make sure the clock is right here. Well, that's not necessarily totally going to alter the game for a couple seconds here and there in the second quarter. At the end of the game, sure, look at the kick six. That was very valuable, that 1 second. But college football largely oversaturated with review. That's somewhere you could look. And Ross does note in this article that this same committee is talking about instituting a coach's challenge rule for college football, as opposed to having a guy in the booth review every single play of every single game and buzz down when he sees something. That would create more strategy, I think, which is something I'd actually kind of be in favor of. And the other interesting part is halftime. Now, you bring in a whole can of worms in college because you have the halftime show, right? You have the band out there on the field doing their thing, and I think it's great. I love watching the bands at halftime or whatnot. It's fantastic. That's where the NFL saves a lot of time. 12-minute halftimes. College football halftimes are 20 minutes. And I get it. Maybe it's the other level of football. You don't need maybe as many adjustments as you would in college or whatnot at halftime. And you have the pageantry and tradition of the bands and everything. And I think it's great. But that is a 8-minute discrepancy in these two games. When you look at the length of time, on average, 3 hours and 10 minutes for the NFL, 3 hours and this season, 21 minutes for college football. That's 11 minutes. You have an 8-minute discrepancy just in the halftime. That is an area I think they could look at with college football and make it work for everything, keeping the bands, just condense it down a little bit. You don't have to go to 12 minutes. Go to 15. Go somewhere. Shave time off that way. The last thing I will say kind of on this, because I know outside of review, what everybody's going to bring up is commercials. And I found this extremely interesting as somebody who has watched LSU football their entire life, and for their entire life, when LSU plays, in the marquee game, it's been on CBS and has complained over and over and over again with all of you about just the annoyance that is their broadcast and taking 4.5 hours. And a lot of that's their commercial breaks, but a lot of it's their strategy of how they get into the commercial breaks, like an injury. Oh, the guy's down on the field. Well, let's have someone walk out there. Let's video the trainer tending to him. Oh, they're getting up to walk on the field. Now let's go to our 4-minute commercial break like CBS tends to do. What I found very interesting in this, and it was noted, is television commercials don't impact the game time significantly. From 2018 to 2020, games not televised finished only about 2 minutes sooner than those televised. So the commercials aren't really the problem. It is everything else within the game. Review, halftime, stopping the clock after a first down, things of that nature. I think a lot of this could be good. I don't necessarily think it factors into player safety as much as they want you to believe. Sure, it could. You're limiting the number of plays on there. But it's how much are these rules changes that are likely to pass this time going to actually impact it? And the only one that really would significantly is the one that is getting the most pushback, and that's the incomplete pass. Think about how many incomplete passes you have in college football and how many times that stops the clock and stops the clock. And the other thing interesting to note with this is, what does it do to offense in college football? You already have up-tempo after up-tempo after up-tempo after up-tempo. Our team's going to start trying to go even faster to counteract some of these rule changes to keep that play count up throughout the game. It'll remain to be seen. It looks like it eventually will pass through this time after they've been trying to push things through. I kind of don't hate 3 of the 4. I loathe the incomplete pass rule. I think that would be doing a major disservice to football just because of what you would do with the strategy. I think that'd be terrible. So we'll see. It's the one getting the most pushback. We'll see. We're going to grab a break. We're going to come back on the other side. LSU, they swept Western Michigan, but people are a little upset about the offensive output. We're going to deep dive into LSU's offense over the weekend and why it was actually a lot better than most people are giving it credit for. That's on the other side of this Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Online at getgordon.com. It's getgordon.com. And all this month, I love this. I absolutely love this initiative that Gordon has introduced there with the G team. Of course, Gordon's done an NIL deal with the entire purple and gold lady basketball team, I think, if I take all the branding off of it. And what they're doing is called Playing for a Purpose. So Gordon Gives is going to donate $20 for every point scored by Alexis Morris and Angel Reese during this month. And all that money is going to go to the Turner Syndrome Foundation. That's a charity that is very close to the Mulkey family, and it's such an awesome thing to do. So, Gordon, yes, if you've been injured in an accident and you need help and you need representation, get Gordon and get it done. But, of course, Gordon does so much great in our communities. You know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls Bands and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne, plus 2-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
Women who suffer from cardiac arrest outside of a hospital are less likely than men to receive life-saving CPR from bystanders. This is especially true for Black and Latino women. Be the one in your family to help change this statistic by taking the American Heart Association's challenge to learn CPR. Be the beat for someone you love. You can make a difference when it matters most. Go to heart.org today to take the CPR challenge and save lives.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Brought to you by Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. 288-8138, 288-8138 or reliefwindows.com. Energy efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank, vinyl siding, they do it all. And at Relief Windows, they will never take $1 from you until you are thrilled with the work. Seriously, no deposit, no down payment. They do not want $1 from you until you are thrilled with the work that they do. That's Relief Windows. And what a time of year. We are moving to the winter months, and this is the time of year when those leaky, drafty windows can become costly. Course, lets the cold air in, the warm air from your heater out. Make your home more energy efficient. Lower your monthly energy bills. Increase your home's resale value with energy efficient replacement windows from Relief Windows. 288-8138 or reliefwindows.com.
All right, let's get back to some LSU baseball here, because this has been an interesting topic to me that's kind of come up really, honestly, since Friday, which was bonkers because they won 10-0. But LSU over the weekend scored 24 runs in 3 games against Western Michigan. And I've seen a lot of, well, they weren't quite up to par offensively takes, which I think has some merit, but not a lot. I think LSU was actually very, very good offensively over the weekend against Western Michigan. I think there's a couple of factors as to maybe why it wasn't the onslaught that maybe you thought you were going to get, especially after they won 10-0 in the first game. Right? I think when you see that, you expected, okay, this team, they've got no pitching. LSU is just going to at will score the rest of this series. And honestly, when you looked at Western Michigan coming in, it was a team that had an ERA at almost 9 last year, 8.77. So, I mean, it lended to yourself thinking, yeah, okay, this opponent, they ain't very good, especially on the mound. LSU is going to run it up. 24 runs in 3 games is still really good. That's 8 runs a game. Okay, that's 8 runs a game. You know how many runs a game LSU averaged last year? 8. They were right on their average from last season. Now, again, I understand it's 1 week. That's an entire year. They managed to sustain that through SEC play. Maybe you have your doubts after 1 weekend watching this lineup. Yeah, but they're playing Western Michigan. When they get into conference play, it's going to be hard to sustain, do what they're doing, whatever. They were right on their average from last year, okay? They didn't score the 50 runs that they did against Maine last year. Maine was also terrible. Western Michigan isn't good, but Maine was bottom. They were off, okay? LSU did a lot of things great offensively over the weekend. Situationally, outside of the first 5 innings of the game on Sunday, situationally, LSU was flawless. And I will take situational offense in baseball over the onslaught just about every time because of the league you play in. There's not going to be a lot of routes in the SEC. You're going to need that situational offense, and they were flawless at it. Take a guy like Ben Napolt. Ben Napolt played in all 3 games, started all 3 games. 2 at third base, 1 at second. And Ben Napolt had one of the best offensive weekends for LSU that flew under the radar because he didn't have a hit. He went 0 for 7. He also drove in 4 runs, which is tied for the most anyone did this weekend. Because every time, and he didn't strike out. He didn't get a hit, drove in 4 runs, and never struck out. He put the ball in play every single time at the bottom of the order. And it either drove in a run or moved a base runner every time. That's how you become lethal offensively, is you have a guy like that in your 9-hole. You have the production that you had from the bottom of the order, which is another area I thought LSU excelled at this weekend, was production 7 through 9. You can go back to Friday. Brady Neal's in the 7 spot, hits a leadoff triple, scores, you guessed it, on a Ben DePolt ground out. Josh Pearson drove in a run, fielder's choice, manufacturing runs. They were great at that. We touched on that a little bit in the open of the show, but I wanted to go deeper here. So that's an area where you were great, and that's going to help you way more down the road when you're facing Arkansas and Tennessee and Mississippi State and Ole Miss than you putting up 40 runs against Western Michigan. So, you only put up 24. I get it. Here's another reason why. You played virtually this entire weekend without Tommy White in the lineup. Probably the second or third best hitter on this team. You got one at bat before he dislocated his shoulder. One at bat. And what was that one at bat? An RBI single up the middle. When you get that guy back here in a couple of games, in the middle of your lineup, your production's going to go up. It's going to go up. You did not have him for the entire weekend outside of one at bat. That's major. Trey Morgan hit the ball on the screws time after time after time after time, and it went right at somebody. Trey Morgan, those are going to fall in, and when they do, he's going to be a 300 hitter for you in this lineup, and it's going to excel, and you're going to take it to the next level again. But even without those two guys, you averaged 8 runs. You walked 18 times. You just didn't get them around this time. That's going to happen. It's hard to score in baseball. Round bat, round ball. We know it's difficult. I get it. You get caught up in the opponent, and you should have beat them maybe by more. But I will hold that what you did offensively carries more value for you long-term this season than if you would have put up 40 runs in the weekend against Western Michigan. And also, late in the game on Sunday, you saw the explosion again. The explosion that you saw Friday in the 6th inning, you saw again late in that game on Sunday. Oddly enough, it was in the 5th inning this time instead of the 6th, but a 5 spot. Dylan Cruz hits a 3-run homer. Jordan Thompson follows that up with a 2-run homer. Gavin Dugas, later in the game, hits his 2nd home run of the weekend. So you saw that power, that explosiveness really start to come to fruition there. Carry that forward, you're going to like where you are. Individual performances that we didn't get to touch on that I really want to shout out, and I want to start, we'll get to Gavin Dugas, he's on another planet. I want to start with the 2 freshmen, though, Jared Jones and Brady Neal. Touched on it a little bit, want to go deeper. Those 2 guys were awesome all weekend. All weekend. To the point where, as strange as it sounds, with Gavin Dugas doing what he did, hitting 2 homers and hitting 750, I was most impressed by Jones and Neal because of the poise they showed as freshmen, because of the key at-bats, the key hits they came up with throughout the weekend, and just their overall demeanor. It blew me away. And if you listen to Musso at the Box, the daily podcast I do, you know how fond I am of Jared Jones. There was nobody else who deserved the DH spot more than him this weekend, and he showed you why. And it's what he had been doing through all the preseason scrimmages. The difference in this weekend, which I loved, was it wasn't the long ball. Anytime I would talk about Jared Jones, it'd be, oh, he hit another ball over the wall, He just tried to not do too much this weekend. Look at Friday. It's a perfect example. Bases loaded, 3-0 game, favorable count. A true freshman could have easily swung out of his shoes trying to hit his first career homer, be a grand slam. He didn't. He didn't try to do too much. He rockets a ball down the line and left, scores 2 runs. That's the kind of stuff he did all weekend. Brady Neal the same way. A leadoff triple from a freshman, fantastic. He hit 600 over the weekend. He was great. Loved it. Gavin Dugas is a freak. 750, 2 homers. He didn't strike out all weekend. He was awesome. Set the tone, really did well out of the leadoff spot. Somewhere you saw him last year, but really did well there. Can we Do we know for sure that they didn't give him some special superpower when they fixed his eyes? Because the way that guy's seeing the ball is unheard of right now. I mean, the fact that he didn't at least garner co-SEC Player of the Week is absurd. I get it. Arkansas's guy played better competition and hit 546, whatever. Gavin Dugas hit 750 for crying out loud. I don't care who you're playing. He hit 750. That's absurd. And it's great to see for him. We all know Gavin's story, right? Injury bitten since he stepped on campus as a freshman. Then the eye procedure. He's a team leader wearing number 8. It was awesome to see. Didn't have to come back. Did. Awesome to see him have the weekend he did. Loved it. So you did a lot of good things. You didn't capitalize on every opportunity. You're not going to capitalize on every opportunity. The situational baseball was peak performance. Loved it. And I'll tell you this one more thing too. Braden Jobert, he hit 375 over the weekend, and a couple of those hits came off of a left-handed pitcher, and that is a great sign. Jay's main thing with that was, hey, your 18 homers, your 52 RBI, that was great. It was the bats in between there that needed to get better. This weekend they were. Can Braden Jobert sustain that over the course of the season? That's going to be something to watch. And then keep an eye on Josh Pearson. He got that start on Sunday, was really kind of scuffling at the plate, gave some good ABs, drew some walks, had the RBI fielder's choice, got his first hit in his last at bat. Maybe that springs him forward because that's going to be an important player for you the rest of the way. But hey, 24 runs, they averaged 8 runs a game. Breathe. They're really good. Your pitching and defense shined. It was a great opening weekend. We're going to grab a break, come back on the other side, talk some New Orleans Saints. They're doing their cap gymnastics again. And NFC South, is it going to be worse this year than it was last? Bill Barnwell took a stab at predicting what moves we're going to see in the offseason in the NFC South. We'll talk about all of that next here on After Further Review, presented by Relief Windows on a Monday. Stay here.
AFR.
Rouse's, y'all, we are moving into springtime, and springtime at Rouse's means crawfish time. Live or boiled, get by Rouse's. Any of the locations. You can go to rouses.com to get more information. That's rouses.com. Or just walk into any of the Rouse's locations. They're boiling crawfish every single day. And y'all, they have their own boiling rooms at Rouse's. So it's not like these are outsourced. They're boiled right there on site daily at all the Rouse's locations. When you walk in, go into any Rouse's, go to the left. Go to the seafood department. You'll see the hot and boiled kiosks. They'll have the boiled crawfish already bagged, priced. Grab it and go. It's at Rouse's. Rouse's is the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. We always say Rouse's, this feels like home. For party trays, dinner tonight, or all your groceries, they got you at Rouse's. So go to rouses.com or find the Rouse's nearest you. Rouse's, this feels like home.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on select new 2022 Ford F-150 trucks. $10,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal. supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana Loyal. Always.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls Bands and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting with a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne, plus two-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
Women who suffer from cardiac arrest outside of a hospital
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
So I was over at Traction this morning training with my guy Tevin Moten. And incredible, man. You're in there and you see Ethan Posick, see Bobby Bradley of the Cleveland Indians, see all these professional athletes. And then on the field, you see a young tennis player from Parkview or any young athlete in any different sport. The bottom line is, with Traction, what they have done there, and they love to say Traction's where champions are made. Traction has built a facility that caters to elite athletes at the highest level of competition, and they take the same facilities, the same trainers, the same programs, and allow your young athlete to maximize their ability. So if it's sports performance, if it's skill training, if it's physical therapy, it's Traction. TractionSports.com. Go to TractionSports.com. Simply put, there's nothing like Traction here. It's Traction, where champions are made.
New Orleans Saints are at it again, restructuring deals, trying to get into cap compliance. You know, same annual tradition we go through every single year with the black and gold, and this time it is Eric McCoy. So you'll remember that Eric McCoy signed a 5-year extension with the New Orleans Saints, and it has already been restructured. Field Yates of ESPN reported that the Saints converted $10 million of Eric McCoy's contract into a signing bonus for 2023, added a void year at the end of his contract, and created $8 million in cap space. It's what they do all the time, right? Convert roster bonus into a signing bonus, add the void year, boom, cap space. They're very good at it. It's also the reason they're in the situation they are in right now, having to do all of this. And even with that move, the Saints are still currently projected to be about $50 million over the signing cap in 2023. There will be plenty more moves to come for the New Orleans Saints, but Eric McCoy is your latest. I was perusing ESPN earlier, keeping with the New Orleans Saints, and Bill Barnwell at ESPN did his normal yearly thing that he always does as well, and that is predict offseason moves for every NFL team. And started looking at the ones in the NFC South, and y'all, the NFC South actually might be worse this coming season than it was last year, which is hard to do because it was the armpit of the NFL. Like, it was terrible. And for what it's worth, the AFC South wasn't very good, and you were still worse than that. So for each team, we'll start with the Saints, obviously, and Bill, who does a great job, well, he really went on a limb on this one, signed Derek Carr for the New Orleans Saints. So let's talk a little bit about Derek Carr and where that situation stands. Derek Carr obviously visited the New York Jets over the weekend, and Jeff Darlington was on Get Up this morning and recapped how that visit went and where kind of it stands with Derek Carr and the Jets, and it's quite interesting.
This one is getting extremely interesting. Derek Carr visiting with the team, and I'm told that it was a very positive meeting, that the Jets really believe that Derek Carr is the type of quarterback that can lead them to a potential championship. They also believe that the meeting went really well. Here's the rub, though. Aaron Rodgers still lingers, and the team also remains fascinated in the possibility of adding him. So why is that a problem? The timeline. Right now, we're looking at a situation where Aaron Rodgers hasn't even gone to the Packers to say whether he wants to be traded. We don't know if the Packers would be willing to trade him. We obviously know that there's a decision to be made there. So, do the Jets go hard for Derek Carr now, or do they risk potentially losing him and waiting it out for Aaron Rodgers? It is an ultimate predicament. I expect hard conversations within Florham Park to figure out which direction they go on their quarterback position.
Where I find this extremely interesting is not just do the Jets get aggressive for Derek Carr, but do the Saints as well. Which team does it first? If the Jets believe that Derek Carr is going to bring them a championship, they're right. They're crazy. And that's belief like that is part of the reason the Jets are where they are as a franchise right now. But if you believe that, are you going to move on him? You better. I mean, if that's what you think. Or are you going to wait for Aaron Rodgers, who I don't want to speak out of turn. He seems to come for people when they get this wrong, but he might still be sitting in a dark cave somewhere. I'm not entirely sure. Are you really, and let's be honest, he's given no indication, Jeff Darlington even mentioned that he wants out of Green Bay. This feels like it could very well go the same exact way it did for Aaron Rodgers last season, where he drug this out, only to return to Green Bay. Now, there's connections with the Jets for both Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers, but do you want to wait and risk losing Derek Carr, like Jeff Darlington just said? And if you're the Saints, do you want to wait and risk losing out on Derek Carr? All the reports were the Saints were ready to trade for Derek Carr before he vetoed any trade.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Product.
So who's going to get aggressive faster in this situation? And will that pressure Derek Carr, who has, by all accounts, said he intends to take his time with this? Very interested to see. I would expect either the Saints or the Jets, knowing the situation for both, one of them's got to move. And if the Jets want to wait on Aaron Rodgers, then the Saints have to take advantage of that and go after Derek Carr again. They loved their visit with him. You were ready to trade for him. Go get your guy if you think that's your guy, and then draft your future, hopefully, in the upcoming summer, in the upcoming draft this spring. So that's where Barnwell predicted for the Saints. They're going to sign Derek Carr. That will remain to be seen. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who won the division, explore trading Chris Godwin, which is very interesting. Y'all, Tampa Bay is in a world of hurt. Tampa Bay is going to be $55 million over the cap right now. And you have to replace Tom Brady, and he's going to be a large cap hit, and with the dead money. And we'll see. He could do them a favor and sign this, contract with them or whatever, or not actually play, but it would take some relief off the books. And maybe Tom does that. Maybe Tom doesn't care, and he doesn't do that. I don't know. But right now, they are in a world of hurt. Their cap situation is so bad that, as Barnwell notes, it could cost them Levante David this offseason. It could even cost them Jamel Dean, who had his best season so far in the league and broke out at the cornerback position. So if you potentially lose them, you don't have Tom Brady. Mike Evans is in the last year of his contract. Could you trade Chris Godwin? Potentially. What's the market like for Chris Godwin? He wasn't all that productive coming off an ACL. Bill Barnwell notes you could potentially get a first-rounder for him, a late first-rounder for him. That's interesting to me. He's still in the prime of his career, I get it, but the one season coming back off that injury, an injury you see plenty of guys come back off over and over and over again, it wasn't all that promising. But Tampa Bay, it's going to be a struggle for them to repeat as division champions this year. You have to figure out quarterback. You could lose two of your best defensive players, and you're as far below in cap compliance as the New Orleans Saints are this year. Difference is the Saints have a lot of experience getting out of it. For the Packers, for the Falcons and the Panthers, he predicted they'd both kind of extend guys in a way. Sign Brian Burns to an extension for the Carolina Panthers. The Packers reportedly offered them 2 first-round picks. They didn't. Now, and they didn't accept the trade. So they want to sign Brian Burns, and he's coming off 12.5 sacks this year. He's been very good. It depends on where they fall in that deal. Is it more TJ Watt, 4 years, 112? Is it more Bradley Chubb, 5 years, 110? Is it kind of in the middle there? We'll see. The interesting thing for Carolina, though, like everyone really in this division, they have to find a quarterback. Are you really going to trust Sam Darnold? You didn't really want to this year until ultimately you had to. Baker Mayfield beat him out. Then you went to P.J. Walker over Sam Darnold then, and then only when you finally had to go back to Sam Darnold did you. Are you really confident in that for your quarterback this season? I'm not sure. I will say this. The Atlanta Falcons, and I hate saying this, the more and more I look at this, if the Saints aren't the worst team in this division, I feel like it's going to be the Atlanta Falcons this year. Yes, they have to figure out quarterback as well, but at least they have Desmond Ridder, who they played a little bit down the stretch, and feel like, okay, we got to give him a shot to prove if he's the guy coming back. You can kind of say the same thing with Carolina and Sam Darnold, and I get it. But where I really like it for Atlanta as well, they have the most cap space. They have $50 million in cap space. And if they can franchise tag Caleb McGarry, which is Barnwell's projected move, and then work on a long-term extension, you save room there too. So they have options to build a team in Atlanta, and they think they have a guy at quarterback. They at least have a guy they're willing to give a shot. The Falcons, depending on how their offseason goes, they very well could be the favorite in the NFC South this year because there is just so much uncertainty with the others. And again, they have their own, but I just don't think it's quite to the level outside looking in that it is for the New Orleans Saints, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or even the Carolina Panthers. We'll see how it goes with Derek Carr. I know there's other teams interested. Of course, Carolina has been one of those reported as teams interested. He's going to take his time. But do the Saints, after the visit with New York, get a little bit more aggressive? Because if they don't, the Jets might. We're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. We will wrap up hour number 2. How we wrap up hour number 2 every single day. That will be with Tigers in the Pros. It's a Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows. Don't you move.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Tell you every day, do business with someone you know. That's us. That's me. That's Ryan Terrio. That's Richard Tilley. And no matter where you are in the state of Louisiana, if you have an issue with your roof, we can help. From the smallest residential repair to the largest commercial job, we got the crews, staff, all of the products ready to roll to help you today. So give us a shout at Hudco Roofing. Again, in the 225, the 504, the 337, the 318, we'd love to help you at Hudco Roofing. And we're never going to oversell something. For example, we got a great coating product. Maybe a roof replacement isn't what's best. Maybe it can be repaired. Or a coating product, which is about half the price of a roof replacement and comes with a 20-year guarantee. We'd love to go over the options with you. It's Hudco Roofing. Online, HudcoRoofing.com. That's HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. An audit released today details the scheme at the West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office that went on for years, allowing an employee over ticket collections to pocket nearly $160,000 in stolen money. As a result, big changes were made in the office, but employees say it comes a little too late after there were a lack of checks and balances at the agency. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. Bulls, Bands, and Barrels at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. With bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman with Timothy Wayne. February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center, 7 p.m.
Women who suffer from cardiac arrest outside of a hospital are less likely than men to receive life-saving CPR from bystanders. This is especially true for Black and Latino women. Be the one in your family to help change this statistic by taking the American Heart Association's challenge to learn CPR. Be the beat for someone you love. You can make a difference when it matters most. Go to heart.org today to take the CPR challenge and save lives.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HudcoRoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, Hudco can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call Hudco Roofing.
Give us a call 364-1007 and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, wrapping up hour number 2 of After Further Review here on Lundy Gras 2023. Let's do Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
Tari Eason participated in the Rising Stars tournament on NBA All-Star Weekend. That was Friday night. Tari played 5.5 minutes in game number 1 for Team Joachim. Scored 2 points. Had an overall very active night for Tari after that. His team did advance to the finals of the Rising Star tournament. He did not play. It was a coach's decision. So 5.5 minutes, 2 points for Tari Eason. On the PGA Tour, tell you how the tournament's wrapped up. The Genesis Invitational. We told you on Friday that Sam Burns was going to miss the cut. He did. Finished 5 over. Did not play the weekend. Ben Taylor did make the cut. Finished tied for 58th, 2 over par. He shot a final round 73. 4 birdies, 6 bogeys, unfortunately. But played the weekend, made some cash. Not all in all a bad day. Bad weekend there for Ben Taylor in at Riviera. The XFL debuted this week. Jontre Kirkland. He played wide receiver, not quarterback. Played wide receiver, not quarterback. And had a really solid day all around for the Houston Roughnecks. That is, they got the victory too, 33-12. Absolutely blitzed the Orlando Guardians. But for Kirkland, 5 receptions in the game, 71 yards and a touchdown. Had a long of 34. The 5 receptions came off of 8 targets. Jontre Kirkland actually scored the first touchdown of the game for the Houston Roughnecks. Plenty of LSU players around the XFL. Kirkland, the only one who recorded stats in opening weekend. So, look, we'll keep our finger on the pulse there and kind of tell you where they're going from there around the rest of the season. Week 2 gets underway, of course, this weekend. And Major League Baseball, pitchers and catchers. Time to get down to spring training. So we'll have those updates coming for you here shortly as well in Tigers in the Pros, which is always great, man. We love baseball season here on After Further Review. That is today's edition of Tigers in the Pros. It's brought to you, as always, by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Get into Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry nearest you. Anniversary, birthday, all the big holidays have kind of passed, right? Valentine's Day, Christmas, that's in the books. But you can still get into Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, and you should, to get that special something for your special someone. They bring you Tigers in the Pros each day here on After Further Review. Putting a button on hour number 2. Show has really flown by. We've talked a lot of LSU baseball so far. Paul Skenes, your Friday night ace, joined the show in the second segment. Talked about his opening day performance and his initiative that he's partnered up with Folds of Honor. I encourage you to go check out that interview. Also, I encourage you to go to Paul Skenes' Twitter and look at his initiative and contribute to it if you can. It's for a it's for a great cause. Folds of Honor is a fantastic organization that helps out military families with scholarships to loved ones of those who lost those in battle or who were wounded and disabled because of battle, and as well as first responders now, too. It's been in existence since 2007. So if you want to look at Paul Skenes' initiative, you can. FOH.org/Paul Skenes, and he himself is donating $10 per strikeout that he records this season. So it's a really cool thing. It was a really great interview. Enjoyed talking with Paul Skenes. So that was fantastic. And what we have coming up, we have to get to LSU basketball. They lost their 14th straight game, and it was, you'd think it wouldn't be as frustrating anymore, but it's still frustrating to watch that team lose, and Saturday was no exception when they lost to South Carolina. So we'll touch on that. Otterlock still to come as well. We'll find out what Jimmy's got for us. He had a great week here on AFR last week, just winning day after winning day after winning day. So we hope to carry that mojo here. It'll be interesting. There's no NBA, so we'll see what Otter's got for us. Probably a lot of college basketball this week during Otterlock. Stay tuned. Hour number 3 of After Further Review is next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawbillsTire.com. 18 locations in South Louisiana. Find the location nearest you at ShawbillsTire.com. Bumper-to-bumper auto service and name brand tires at wholesale prices. They will always find a way to get you the best possible price for the best possible tires on the road. That's what they do at Shawbills. And when they get you in by selling you the best tires, the cheapest price possible, they're going to treat you like family, and they're going to treat you so good you're going to keep coming back year after year after year every time you need anything for your vehicle. Tires rotated, oil changed, check engine light on, brakes squeaking, whatever's wrong with your vehicle, bring it to Shawbills. Let them give it the once-over, and you can always schedule online, so it's convenient. ShawbillsTire.com. Find the location nearest you at ShawbillsTire.com. Shop tires online at ShawbillsTire.com. Be sure to ask about the Shawbills credit card as well, because you can save $50 off your first purchase when you use the Shawbills credit card only at Shawbills.
You'll love the deals this month at Corval Toyota in Opelousas. Get 3.99% financing on new 23 Highlanders, and as always, you'll never pay over MSRP. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas. Happy Town, USA.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls Bands and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting, with a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne, plus two-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
Women who suffer from cardiac arrest outside of a hospital are less likely than men to receive life-saving CPR from bystanders. This is especially true for Black and Latino women. Be the one in your family to help change this statistic by taking the American Heart Association's challenge to learn CPR. Be the beat for someone you love. You can make a difference when it matters most. Go to heart.org today to take the CPR challenge and save lives.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Less than a week after the Lakers traded him to the Jazz as part of a 3-team deal, guard Russell Westbrook has decided on his next landing spot. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports he plans to sign with the Clippers after he completes his buyout with Utah. We will see a much different Westbrook with the Clippers, believes Cavaliers guard Danny Green.
I think he'll be able to play more free. He's made that adjustment coming off the bench, which helped him a ton in a mindset stage where he can be a role player and fit in and not have to be a guy that has to carry the load. With having Paul George and Kawhi on your right and left side, it'll make it a lot easier for him as well. They have a lot of firepower in that team. Their bench is loaded too.
NHL Islanders center Matthew Barzal, second on the team in points, out indefinitely with a lower body injury. That's a tough blow to their playoff pursuit. New York currently holds the second wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. NFL, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reporting the Colts set to hire Jim Bob Cooter as their offensive coordinator. Indy's expected to use the 4th overall pick in the upcoming draft on a quarterback. Among the QBs Cooter's worked with as an NFL assistant, Peyton Manning, Matt Stafford, and Trevor Lawrence.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. At Progressive, they're making things even easier to help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Welcome into hour number 3 of After Further Review. Matt Musso filling in for Matt Moscona all week here on AFR. Jacob Beck and Paul O'Neill along for the ride as well here as we enter the final hour here on Monday's show. Gotten a lot done so far. Still a lot left to go. Want to kind of reset a little bit of what we talked about to open the show with LSU baseball. But before we even get into that, the one storyline we haven't really addressed with that is the injury that occurred to Tommy White early in the game on Friday. Tommy White, of course, everybody knows, came to LSU from NC State, transfer, number one transfer in the country per D1 baseball. And I mean, he's a guy who hit 27 homers as a true freshman. As a freshman, it's the NCAA record. He did that last year at NC State and really lit it on fire all throughout the fall and preseason at LSU, and was going to be a stalwart in the middle of your lineup, probably the second or third best hitter on this team, and steps into the box Friday and opening day, drives an RBI single up the middle for his first at bat, and when he's taking his lead from first, a pickoff attempt, he dives back in and goes down with an injury. They come out, look at him, immediately just pick him up off the field and take him into the locker room. It turns out it was a shoulder that they just had to pop back into place. It's something that Tommy White has dealt with plenty throughout his career. And, look, once that happens, it's tough to kind of keep it in place all the time. It's looser and it pops out easier. Just unfortunate that it happened. What is great, though, is the update that Jay Johnson gave after the series on Sunday.
Better today, and I think you'll see a progression back into things is what I would say. I don't anticipate that you'll be out for very much longer, and that's a good thing for us because we need him. I mean, you saw it in the first inning the other day. So
it's fantastic news because I would imagine that most of you watching the game on Friday when that happened, much like me, kind of were just like, who knew? That is the one guy, right? Or one of the main guys that you cannot afford to lose, and good news, you won't. That's Jay Johnson said maybe some progression to getting back in. I would imagine, hopefully maybe he gets an AB tomorrow against Southern, but I would think by this weekend you see Tommy White back into the lineup for LSU, and that's great because that's going to make you even more dangerous than you already are 1 through 9 with that guy in there. The fact that the only thing you've seen from him is the RBI single, and that's enough to get you excited. So that's massive news there on the injury front for LSU. They had done so well staying healthy really through fall, through spring, or I say spring, quote unquote spring, the preseason practice period. You had the injury to Grant Taylor, but that was really the only major one for guys who were already expected to contribute. You dodged a bullet with Tommy White. It's a great thing. He'll be back in short order and smashing homers and RBI singles up the middle with ease, hopefully for LSU all season. Thought it was a great weekend for them overall. They get the 3-game sweep. We went deep into it in the first segment. We're not going to go as deep this time. I'm going to let you hear a little bit more from Jay Johnson. I did tell you that one of my biggest takeaways, or my biggest takeaway from the weekend, was just the dominance of LSU's pitching staff. And Jay Johnson gave his thoughts on the staff as a whole after the game yesterday.
They did a really good job, I think. So we're looking at 5 runs in 3 games. I'll take that all the time. And I think this execution of it was great, too. When you talk about, I think they were prepared. I think they pitched with great confidence and belief, and we suffocated the strike zone. I mean, with early and ahead. I mean, it seemed like every hitter was 1 and 2. It was almost surprising when we got to a 3-ball count, which is great. And then we really made pitches for out pitches, or what we call kill pitches, at a high level.
They walked 7 and struck out 35. It was an absolute assault on the strike zone all weekend by the LSU Arms. You saw 10 pitchers, and, I mean, they all were dominant. Bryce Collins is the one that struggled, and I have no doubt that he'll be fine. I mean, he's going to bounce back in his next outing and probably dominate. So that was the hole on your team last year, especially in the starting rotation. Through one weekend, it has absolutely been remedied. But the main thing there is just the assault on the strike zone from that group. 7 walks, 35 strikeouts. It was dominant. Paul Skenes on Friday. Do you realize Paul Skenes on Friday, his first trip through the lineup? So the first 9 hitters he faced, first pitch strike to 8 of them. It sounds so simple, but it's so key in baseball. Throw strike 1. Get ahead, stay ahead. They did great with that all weekend. And it was encouraging because kind of in the scrimmages, you saw some walks from LSU. And I would get asked often when I would do the listener questions on Musso at the Box. Check it out, by the way, wherever you find your podcasts. It's presented by New Orleans Flooring. Great folks. You hear about them here on AFR2 daily, Monday through Friday, LSU baseball. Anywhere you get your podcast, Musso at the Box, check it out. We had a great first full week, I should say, and we're off to a rousing start here after the weekend series. But are the walks concerning, or is it a bit of a one-off? Not all those walks were bad walks. Some of them were 2-out walks that you just pitched right around, but you had multiple of them. I was very encouraged to see them taper that off almost to none this week. I mean, single-digit walks over 3 games is fantastic, and most of them, you had a half of them from the bullpen. I mean, excuse me, half of them from the starting rotation. So your bullpen was coming in and pounding the zone. 2 guys to highlight specifically there who were just flawless. Really 3, because Christian Little as well. Christian Little, Blake Money, and Ty Floyd. Ty Floyd was great, y'all. Ty Floyd was perfect. 9 up, 9 down in 3 innings. He was literally perfect in 4 strikeouts. And he threw a dandy of a breaking ball to end his first inning on Sunday to strike a guy out. He had thrown nothing but fastballs up to that point, and just flips this curveball in and just absolutely buckles the batter, just completely breaks him down. It was beautiful to see, and he cruised from there. That was great. I thought Sam Dutton was fantastic in the highest leverage spot of this season so far, and you're only 3 games in. He comes in second and third, really limits the damage, allows 1 run, but gets out of it, and you're able to break the game open later as Floyd was doing his thing. Blake Money was great. Blake Money, you want to talk about an assault on the strike zone. Blake Money is the guy who you really kind of zero in on that. His first inning, he didn't throw a ball until the second inning. It was something like 13 pitches, 13 strikes in his first inning. It was absurd. Gave up a homer, pitched right around it, bounced back with a strikeout to the next guy. 28 pitches, 23 strikes. So, like, that's what you were looking at from this staff all weekend long, and it was awesome. The other big thing I kind of want to touch on with it was a lot of the hoopla was around Chase Shores and his debut, and Jay Johnson gave his thoughts on Chase Shores' debut after the game.
I thought Chase was great. I mean, that's a big deal. They get a little bit different than a high school game in Midland, Texas with, a bunch of purple up there. I think you saw his talent. I think you saw his poise and composure and why he's going to be a great pitcher here for a long time.
And he will be. And I tend to agree. I thought he pitched really well. I mean, I think there were a little jitters, and that's to be expected. It's fine. The velocity was kind of all over the place more than I'd seen it before, and just in scrimmages. Normally it was 96, 98, toppy 99. Like normally what you saw from Paul Skenes was on Friday was what you saw from Chase Shores in all those scrimmages. It was a little bit more erratic, and I think you can chalk that up to nerves. But what he did great, even with those nerves, was he kept his composure. When things didn't go necessarily perfect his way, he pitched around it. It wasn't one of those things where it snowballed on him, which it can do for a freshman. That was great to see. I came away very impressed. Yes, it was only 3 1/3, but look, he will have longer outings, and he is that guy. Like, he will be that guy for LSU throughout his career and even at points this season. I'm extremely, extremely high on Chase Shores. I'm not getting back into the offense. If you want to hear that, go listen to the 415 segment. We went deep into the offense. I thought they were actually very, very good, and things that they did can help them take stride. So, LSU 3-0. They will take on Southern tomorrow while we're on air. That's a theme right now early in the season. Of course, they faced I almost said Air Force. They faced Western Michigan at 3 p.m. on Friday while we were on air. The Southern game will be while we're on air. And then Friday, when they're in Round Rock facing Kansas State, that game also starts at 2 o'clock. So, first midweek game of the year. Everyone loves their midweek games here when it comes to LSU baseball. And Southern, they're coming in feeling pretty good about themselves. They won a tournament at Minute Maid Park this weekend over there in Houston. So they're coming in pretty high, and they will face Thatcher Hurd, which will be very, very interesting to see. I am extremely fired up to watch Thatcher Hurd take the mound. Jay Johnson mentioned after the game, he was asked would he be on a pitch count. He will have a pitch count, but they're going to let him go a little bit too, right? I mean, I think you might. I would assume they want to get him through at least 3 innings. Like Thatcher Hurd, they want to continue to build him up to be the starting pitcher in the starting rotation for LSU this year. That's what this is going to be for. Remember the injury he had in his back. You got to find consistency and a comfortability with that injury. That starts tomorrow. So I'm very excited to see Thatcher Hurd take the bump. And you've got a lot of guys also that you didn't get to see. We didn't get to see Garrett Edwards this weekend. We didn't see Aiden Moffitt. We didn't see Griffin Herring. A lot of guys we heard a lot about in the preseason. We didn't even get to see this weekend. So you're going to get to see them against Southern as well. So it's going to be great to key into the pitching staff again in that game and see if LSU can build off of the offensive explosion they had late in the game Sunday against Western Michigan against Southern. I'm sure that's how we will start the day tomorrow. They will have probably played around 3 innings, so we'll give you thoughts on Thatcher Hurd and how it materialized in the first half of that game. On the first half of that game tomorrow, really to start the show, but have updates kind of throughout. So if you're watching the game, you'll be watching the game. If not, hopefully you'll tune in with us here on AFR. I would greatly appreciate it. So we're going to grab a break. That ends the LSU baseball conversation for today. There will be plenty more throughout the week, because if you listen to this show or if you listen to the podcast, you know I love LSU baseball. So this is like the perfect week for me to be hosting the show. There's going to be plenty of LSU baseball throughout the week. We'll grab a break, come back. Next, we will talk LSU basketball as the Tigers lost their 14th straight game of the season and are now 1-13 in conference play. That's on the other side. It's after further review on Monday.
AFR.
Love telling you about River City's 1 hour air. 752-0001. 752-0001. Love telling you about River City's 1 hour air because I love telling you about great companies that treat people right. That's River City's 1 hour air. They make you feel valued, and they make you feel comfortable. When you schedule service with River City's 1 hour air, when technicians come into the house, you get a phone call, an email, and a text message alerting you the technician's on the way. You get a text message with a picture, a photo, name, and reviews of that technician who's coming to your house. They take the time to explain everything. They're very thorough. They have equipment on the truck because they're so big on continuing education. They have equipment on the truck other companies don't even own, never even heard of. River City's 1 hour air. Nights, holidays, weekends, they'll always come out. They'll never charge you extra. River City's 1 Hour Air. Got a problem with your home central AC? Call River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $10,000 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls, Bands, and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman.
Rockin' a hard place.
With Timothy Wayne, plus two-time PBR World Champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the Entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
Women who suffer from cardiac arrest outside of a hospital are less likely than men to receive life-saving CPR from bystanders. This is especially true for Black and Latino women. Be the one in your family to help change this statistic by taking the American Heart Association's challenge to learn CPR. Be the beat for someone you love. You can make a difference when it matters most. Go to heart.org today to take the CPR challenge and save lives.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All this month at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, great specials, even though Valentine's Day is already passed. Like $100 off lip filler. That's all this month over at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Also, they've got the absolute latest technology in micro-needling, and all of those packages are deeply discounted this month as they introduce the new technology. I've told you this before. The Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana has been voted the nation's top aesthetic practice. That was at the Las Vegas National Aesthetic Show in Las Vegas. Voted the #1 aesthetic practice in the country. They're right here in Baton Rouge. Blue Bond in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette. If you want to look and feel like your younger self, the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana can help. Learn more online. Book that consultation. TheAntiAgingClinics.com. Again, online at TheAntiAgingClinics.com.
82-73, LSU fell on Saturday in the PMAC at the hands of South Carolina. Tigers lose their 14th straight game. They fall to 1-13 in the SEC, 12-15 overall. It has just been a brutal stretch that even now that you've gotten to the softer part of your schedule, it hadn't really lightened up all that much, and that makes it kind of all the more brutal that they keep falling short. But it's been kind of the same old story really throughout this entire losing streak for LSU. And here was Matt McMahon after another disappointing loss.
Not a whole lot to say. Obviously a very disappointing afternoon, and I'll give credit to South Carolina. They had great energy, obviously shot the ball incredibly well from the three-point line, and that was ultimately the difference in the game. You look at a lot of the other statistical categories, were fairly favorable to us, but we're minus 24 points from behind the three-point line, and thought they had the energy and played with the urgency that was necessary to win this game. So give them great credit.
Yeah, I mean, the three-point line is the total difference in the ball game. You heard him there. LSU's minus 24. South Carolina, they made their first 5 threes of the game and got out to a 10-point lead. I mean, 5 threes, 15-5. LSU was really kind of never able to fully recover. They did close it to 1 point a couple times in the first half, but it wasn't enough for the game. For the first half, South Carolina shot 50% from 3, 8 of 16. For the game, they were 15 of 32. I mean, 47% from three-point range. They were just kind of out of their mind. And you heard Matt McMahon there kind of say a lot of the other statistical categories were a bit favorable for LSU, and it didn't matter because of the three-point line, and that's true. If I would have told you that LSU would have a season-low 6 turnovers in the game, especially after turning it over 19 times in Stegman Coliseum, they follow that up with a season-low 6. You'd have 3 guys in double figures, and Cam Hayes would have a career high with 25 points. Especially with the way LSU had been playing defense, you would have thought they'd had a pretty good shot to snap the losing streak, and they didn't because South Carolina was just out of their mind from three-point range. It wasn't just that. I mean, LSU was awful from free throws. They shot 54% from the line. You can't get it done that way. And even though you had the 3 guys in double figures and 25 from Cam Hayes, you still shot 42% from the field. So it wasn't enough. You scored 73. There's been plenty of times this year where 73 would have been enough for LSU to actually win the game. This was not one of those times just because South Carolina was out of their mind. So it's from 3. It really is difficult to go anywhere with LSU basketball right now, LSU men's basketball right now. They've got 4 games left, and you can't confidently pick them to win any of the 4 games. When you look at the schedule preseason, you looked at, this stretch is where it lightened up, and it was going to be a bear going through the beginning, but it lightens up at the end, and maybe you can make your hay, and maybe you're fighting for an NIT spot. That's not going to be the case, obviously, for LSU. They're just playing out the string, and it just makes it really tough to get interested in any of it because normally when you have a team like LSU is right now, where they're 12-15, they've lost 14 straight, and you're 1-13, normally you have the backdrop of they're going to fire the coach. That's not what this is, though, right? It's Matt McMahon's first year, and he's had to rebuild the roster, and he's got a long leash to build this program into it, and that's really the conversation everybody wants to have right now is, can he do that? And that's fair to ask at the moment. I mean, I thought they built a really good roster in a short amount of time for this season. It just hasn't played out that way, obviously, given they can't score. I mean, they fight, they play hard, they can't score. Eventually, fighting and playing hard, it only gets you so far. You got to be able to put the ball through the hoop at some point, and this was actually one of your better offensive games, and it still, at least from a scoring standpoint, it still wasn't enough because, well, I mean, you shot 33% from 3, that's okay. 42% from 4, that's okay. But you stunk it up from the charity stripe. So the conversation that everybody wants to have is Matt McMahon, but I don't really think that's the conversation because I do think he can have success at LSU. This season needs to live in a vacuum. Now, the recruiting trail, maybe it hadn't been as fruitful as most would have hoped here leading into year 2, but you still have the transfer portal. And that's really where you make your hay right now in college basketball anyway, is in the transfer portals. Let's see how that goes for them in the offseason. I would expect Matt McMahon's going to be able to get some pretty good players out of that, and that's how you're ultimately going to really have to build this thing back up. That's why you can do it so quickly in college basketball, is something like the transfer portal. That's where you go long-term. In the immediacy, you have a game against Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt's the perfect example of what we were talking about earlier here in this segment, where when preseason you looked at the SEC schedule and you saw this stretch, and it was going to be where you could maybe make some of it back up and be fighting for that NIT spot if things went the way we all thought they would. Vanderbilt's one of those teams that has now made that harder because they've won 5 games in a row. They went and got their butts kicked by 60 at Alabama, and they've won their next 5, and that includes an upset over Tennessee. Like, they've beaten Missouri in that stretch. They've beaten good teams. And now they're going to come into the PMAC on Wednesday night, and I'm not confidently picking LSU to win that game. I would actually expect Vanderbilt to win that game and LSU to fall to 1-14 and lose 15 straight. And then you go to Ole Miss, and they're terrible. Ole Miss is the example that we were kind of just talking about, where you're having an awful year and you are going to fire your coach. So you at least have that interesting aspect around it. Ole Miss is that team, and hopefully that's the one LSU can go get. But you got to play Missouri again. I don't think you're going to beat Missouri again. You didn't go well for you the first time you played them. And then you end the season at Florida. And look, Florida's not a great basketball team by any stretch of the imagination, but it's on the road, and that series is always very, very close. It's hard to find a win left on the schedule that you can confidently be like, they're going to go, even at Ole Miss. I mean, is anybody right here over the moon confident that LSU is going into the Pavilion on Saturday and beating Ole Miss, who is one of the worst teams in the league? You're not, because South Carolina was one of the worst teams in the league. And they held you at bay really from the second half of the first half to the rest of that game. And it's tough right now for LSU basketball. They'll play out the string, go to the SEC tournament, probably lose their first round game, and we'll turn the page to the 23-24 season. It'll be a lot more interesting to talk about them in the transfer portal and whatnot than it is right now with them just treading water to close the season. For what it's worth, the Matt McMahon Show is tonight, actually, on the LSU Sports Radio Network. They'll be live from TJ Ribs. So Chris Blair, Matt McMahon, you can hear that on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. It gets going at 7 o'clock. Matt McMahon will update the latest as LSU prepares for the Vanderbilt Commodores on Wednesday. We're going to grab a break, come back on the other side, and continue with a Lundy Girl edition of After Further Review presented by Relief Windows. Come back with us. 2 more segments left here on Monday.
AFR.
Renaissance Hotel and the Watermark Hotel, 2 great locations. If you're downtown or in Southtown, our friends at the Watermark and the Renaissance can certainly help make your next event spectacular, whether it's a wedding or an intimate gathering. Downtown at the Watermark, Baton Rouge's premier luxury hotel, or if you're at the Renaissance for a board meeting. They have elegant, intimate board meetings for a dozen people, or meeting space for up to 500 people in their spacious ballroom. At the Renaissance, they like to say, we're in the business of saying yes. So if it's annual conferences, award banquets, nonprofit school fundraisers, if you're hosting a sports team, a formal cotillion etiquette classes, they do it all at the Renaissance Hotel right there on Bluebonnet. It's the Renaissance Hotel. You can check them out online for reservations or to get more information. It's the Renaissance and the Watermark, downtown and Southtown. Check them out at the Renaissance Hotel.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on select new 2022 Ford F-150 trucks. $10,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Remind you about South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. That's southpointvw.com. Get on by. Test drive any of their line of vehicles over at South Point. Remember, I tell you all the time, 9 different IIHS top safety picks. It's the highest safety designation a vehicle can get. It's one of the reasons I love driving my Volkswagen is I know every time I put Drew in his car seat and I'm driving, I'm in one of the safest vehicles on the road. Erica drives a Volkswagen. Every time she leaves the house in her car, I know she's driving one of the safest vehicles on the road. And by the way, they're stylish and affordable and fun to drive. It's at South Point Volkswagen. Remember, the all-electric, first electric SUV for everyone, the Volkswagen ID4. You can make your reservation right now at southpointvw.com. It's South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction?
The NBA All-Star game was last night. It capped off NBA All-Star weekend. Team Giannis put up 184 points and beat Team LeBron 175. It's a conversation I think we have all the time surrounding All-Star games. The entertainment value of them. And the NBA is kind of a chief offender when it comes to one maybe not being as entertaining as it potentially could be. Because the NBA as a product is fantastic, right? I mean, the athletes they have on the floor are doing just incredibly super athletic things that can, make your jaw drop. Just the size of these individuals. It is a very entertaining thing. And at the efficiency level and the high level that they do compete, it's great. The All-Star game is not that. It's really bad. And last night's in particular got just, called out left and right on social media for being an inferior product. And it wasn't just social media. Michael Malone, who of course hosts the Denver Nuggets, coaches, the Denver Nuggets, just slammed the NBA All-Star Game post-game last night.
You know, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be a part of a great weekend, great players, but that is the worst basketball game ever played. You know, I mean, I give Joel Embiid, Kyrie Irving, those guys were like competing. Joel was imploring some of the guys to play harder, to try to get some defense in, but no one got hurt. They put on a show for the fans, but that is a tough game to sit through, I'm not going to lie.
He's right. It's very tough to sit through because you got guys, it's nothing but runouts or guys walking up to the three-point line and just getting wide open shots all the time. I mean, you had 184 points scored by the winning team. It was terrible. The part that I found interesting, though, and it wasn't in that clip, they asked Mike Malone, how do you fix it? And he said, I don't think you can. And I disagree. Jacob and Paul, y'all talk through this with me. Can we fix the NBA All-Star Game right now? I think you can. I will say this. The Pro Bowl, for as much crap as the Pro Bowl gets, and I don't watch the Pro Bowl, I'll be honest, it doesn't move the needle for me. It tried something new. And the players seem to really like the flag football, the Pro Bowl games, all that stuff. They get their bonus for being named it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Is that maybe something the NBA can look towards? Is it maybe move it to a 3-on-3 style tournament? Kind of like you see with the Rising Stars game, right? It's a 3-on-3 style tournament. Is that something you can do that maybe will create, and can you find an incentive for the players? I mean, they all make millions of dollars, so maybe money's not the incentive, but can you find an incentive for them to play for that gets put forth effort? Because 184 to 175 is boring. It's just bad. It's not real basketball. It's terrible.
Yeah, there has to be some kind of incentive they can make as far as, I know a lot of people hated the fact that the MLB All-Star Game, the winner would get home field advantage, whether it was the National League or the American League. But maybe you could do something like that where, well, I guess you can do that because now it's not the East versus West anymore. It's just
right.
Players from all different conferences. So, yeah, it's tough. I mean, I'm not really sure what they could do, but there has to be, they've got to put their heads together because it really is pretty sad. I mean, just go back and watch like maybe the 2005 or 2006 All-Star Game with guys like Kobe, LeBron coming in. Like those guys really played. They were playing defense, at least in the fourth quarter. You expect maybe the first, second, and then once you get maybe halfway into the third quarters when the guys really start to pick up the pace and really try to put some effort into the game. But you don't even see that now. It's just almost all the way until maybe like the last few minutes. But the game wasn't really that close, so there was never really even a point where it seemed like the guys were really trying.
No, and look, they've done things to try and change the format already and make it more, but it hasn't. Sure, it's made it, I guess. I don't want to say better because I don't think it has, because it's taken. It's just, I think the changes they've made have further taken away from the competitiveness in the game of guys wanting to actually compete in the game. You brought up Major League Baseball, and I liked that they did that. I also understood everybody's gripe where it's like, I mean, you got teams in the National League, so you say they're competing for this. Only one National League team actually reaps the benefit for it, or one American League team. So I get changing that. But the thing is, Major League Baseball has the best All-Star game and the best All-Star weekend. It's like one of the one things that league has going for it that they haven't completely ruined themselves. The Home Run Derby is far superior to the dunk contest. It's great. It's better than the Pro Bowl skills competition. If for no other reason, the stars of your game, I mean, you got Pete Alonso out there just cranking homers. Ronald Acuna, Aaron Judge is one of them. Like the stars of your game compete in that. That's what has been the downfall of the dunk contest. You look at the All-Star game itself in Major League Baseball, it's hard to pad stats in baseball because you got one guy throwing 100 miles an hour and you're trying to hit a round ball with a round bat. You can't fake competitiveness in that game. So it is entertaining, and they've added fun stuff like miking up players and things of that nature. The NBA had Jose Alvarado mic'd up during the Rising Stars game. I thought that was great. I think a model like that, though, and you know what? I was talking to Haldane about this earlier, just in the hallway, and I thought he came up with a really good idea. How about you do your Rising Stars tournament, and whoever wins that tournament, those guys play the All-Stars. Because the Rising Stars, the guys who are in their first, second year in the league or in the G League, they're going to want to compete. They're going to want to beat the NBA, your league of NBA All-Stars. Now, maybe that gets tough because Do you have to decrease the number of all-stars you have since they're not coming from both leagues? Maybe that's something, but I think that would at least be, I think that would pique interest for people more than them just, oh, here, let me throw it off the backboard to my teammate while nobody guards.
I don't think it's a terrible idea. I just think the only problem is I don't know that some years the Rising Stars game has guys that they're going to be, top 15, top 20 player in the league in the next few years. But I think maybe in some down years where the Rising Stars game may not have as many like bona fide stars, they would probably get destroyed by the actual NBA like pro all-stars.
Maybe. That's a very good point. That could absolutely happen. That's always the the argument everybody throws out is like, oh, could this college team beat this pro team? It's like, no, of course, no, they can't. They can't. The 0-16 Lions would beat insert college football team here. Like that, they're professionals. They get paid to do this. I get exactly what you're saying there. That is true. I just think it might achieve maybe more of a competitive. And what I actually think is I think the NBA All-Star, those guys might actually push back on the idea because they don't want to risk injury in a competitive game.
Yeah.
I mean, which I get, but I just think I think All-Star games, the only reason they're around obviously still is the TV and the viewership and the ratings and whatnot, but they've just become a shell of themselves in multiple sports, except I still really enjoy the Major League Baseball All-Star game. I mean, I'll watch a little bit of the NBA All-Star game, but I'm not watching the whole thing because it can't hold your attention. It's what Mike Malone just said. They go out there, they put on a show for the fans, but it's hard to sit through the whole thing. It's just hard to sit through the whole thing. So I think you can fix it. I think it. The NHL, they do a 3-on-3. They do 3-on-3 hockey, which is wildly entertaining. 3-on-3, and everyone loves like the Big Three basketball tournament that they do. Man, try some of that. Again, does it decrease your number of all-stars? I don't know, but I'm down for that if you can get it going.
Yeah, I thought it was actually interesting what the NHL has done the last few years where they have, it's not just the conferences, it's like each division of the conference plays against each other. Kind of like the Rising Stars where it's, a few different teams and then they get to the end and they play a final all-star game. And maybe you could do something like that. I'm not sure, but yeah, the NBA they really have to figure it out. I think if they keep every year, if it just keeps continuing this trend, I think people are going to continue to tune out even more. I mean, when you have, maybe one or two guys in the dunk contest that anyone's heard of playing, it's tough to really get people to want to really watch that.
It is. And look, Matt McClung, he won the dunk contest. Congratulations. That's great. You had a G League guy. I mean, that's kind of an indictment, right, on your dunk contest. That you had to go to the G League. And look, he's on a two-way deal, whatever, fine. I get it. Why? I mean, you've got so many stars and they don't want to risk the injury. And I guess I get it. I just, that used to be so much fun to watch the dunk contest. And it's just not anymore. Like, I was interested because Trey Murphy was in it. That was it.
I mean,
the only reason.
I'm trying to figure out really, I mean, I know a lot of people like to point to LeBron being the reason why a lot of bigger name players don't go to the dunk contest, but I mean, I'm not a NBA, statistical nerd. I don't know who won every dunk contest in the last 20 years, but it just from remembrance of watching a lot of them, I don't feel like I remember a time where I saw somebody get injured in the dunk contest. I know guys are jumping, there's definitely a risk for injury. It's not like they're just shooting three-pointers like in the three-point contest, but I don't feel like there was ever like an example as a reason why guys don't want to play anymore. It's besides the fact that LeBron decided he wouldn't do it. So everybody's like, well, if he's not going to do it, I'm not going to.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I agree. And yeah, LeBron gets the finger pointed at him a lot for being the cause of this. But the fact is, I mean, plenty of these other guys could step up and blaze their own trail and do it. I mean, not just the dunk contest, but, the All-Star game. And I wonder, honestly, too, this, and we got a break here soon, but I wonder this, too, if it loses its luster for the players even, because, you make All-Star, you go play the game 1-2 times. Is it really still special your third, fourth time going to play the game? Like, is it, you're never going to do away with the game, like we mentioned, obviously because of ratings and whatnot, and that conversation is had all the time. But is there a way to, you have to incentivize. You have to make it more special. I think you can fix it. You just have to figure out the way. The NBA is too popular. It's too popular in this country to not do it. People watch it too much and like it and too much and follow it too much for that to be the cap of your weekend. That's the other thing, right? Like, that caps off All-Star Weekend, and it's just lame. It's just lame. So, look, hopefully they figure it out. Because, again, it is a very entertaining product, and it could be so much better, and maybe it's just more format changes that get the players more involved in wanting to compete for something. And you know what? Maybe we're blowing smoke. Maybe you can't do it. Maybe it's just dead in the water like the dunk contest, because the dunk contest is dead in the water. Now, if Trey Murphy would have won, I've been celebrating the dunk contest, but he didn't, and the dunk contest still stinks, and it's dead in the water, and it'll be terrible next year too. All right, we will grab a break. One more segment to go here on a Monday edition of After Further Review. We're going to wrap it up as we do every day, except for Fridays, I guess, with Otter Locks. No NBA, so probably a lot of college basketball, and Otter was on a heater last week, winning day after winning day after winning day. Hopefully he continues that mojo here for this week. We'll get to Otter and Otter Locks next to close out AFR on Monday.
AFR.
If you are even thinking about selling your home, I'm going to give you a phone number. I'm going to give you the only phone number that you will need. I'm going to give you Darren James's phone number. It's Darren's cell. Like, you can call this number, you can text this number, and you are literally calling or texting the phone number that Darren James has in his pocket or on his hip. I'm talking about the realtor that sells more homes than anybody. A guy on the Wall Street Journal is listed the top 1,000 realtors in America based on the number of homes sold. You ready? 335-7666. 335-7666 or agent225.com. Of course, you can go to the website, agent225.com. If you need to sell your home, you need to maximize your return on the home, you want a hassle-free, pleasant experience, you need Darren James. 335-7666 or agent225.com. If you need to sell your home, you need Darren James. Agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls Bands and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne. Plus two-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers. And Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th. Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. The #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
Women who suffer from cardiac arrest outside of a hospital are less likely than men to receive life-saving CPR from bystanders. This is especially true for Black and Latino women. Be the one in your family to help change this statistic by taking the American Heart Association's challenge to learn CPR. Be the beat for someone you love. You can make a difference when it matters most. Go to heart.org today to take the CPR challenge and save lives.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Final segment on Mondays after further review, wrapping it up as we do every day. Let's do Otter Locks. All right.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
It was a great week last week. We hope to keep it going. Otter, happy Lundy Gras. How are you?
Man, I think I got ESPN radio on my ear also, so kind of hard to get that out. But anyway, happy Lundy Gras, Musso.
Happy Lundy Gras, Otter.
There it is. There you did. All right, man. Busy weekend of college basketball. Kind of exhales tonight. It's just a select few games, but they got an interesting one. We're going to break down. It's going to be an 8 o'clock tip. Kansas at TCU. Number 25, TCU is actually a 2-point favorite over Kansas tonight. Big 12, the toughest league in all of basketball, and there's no hotter team in that league right now. Kansas and Texas now tied for first place. They've won 4 in a row, 6 of their last 7 in conference play. We're going to break this down further because I'm a little bit undecided because normally this is sort of a pros versus Joes type of fade, but, an emotional win by Kansas. But damn it, they're just playing at such a high level. TCU does finally break their 4-game losing streak with a 25-point win at home against Oklahoma State. It's going to be the 8 o'clock game on TCU. We're going to dive into that one a little bit further later tonight. Game I like tonight, Musso, is also an 8 o'clock game, kind of a nondescript game in the Big Ten. And Minnesota, 1-13 in conference play this year. Their only win is against Ohio State. So this is a made-up game, COVID game from a couple of weeks ago. So quick turnaround after losing at home in Minneapolis-St. Paul. They'll travel to take it to Champaign. Illinois is in the tournament right now, roughly an 8 or 9 seed, so they have a little bit of a cushion, but they're also trying to bounce back as well from an earlier game, a loss this weekend. And so I like them in this bounce back spot. They kind of beat up on the inferior Gophers, laying the 14 in this one. Illinois at home tonight.
Otter, did you say this was a COVID? They're still doing COVID games?
Yeah, some places, yeah. Yep. So, yep. They actually had Minnesota's had 2 games canceled or postponed this year, I should say.
Oh, all right. So Illinois laying the 14 tonight at home in Champaign versus those COVID Minnesota Gophers. Breaking down TCU and Kansas later tonight. Otter, what else we got on game time tonight?
Man, as the college, as the Super Bowl ends, your handicap or your gambling action is splintered a bunch of ways from college basketball down the stretch run. We know about that. But everything from golf, the XFL, to horse racing, college baseball, Premier League, a little bit of everything for you tonight, Musso.
Oh, Otter, any college baseball locks you got, you know where to send them now. Look, you know me.
You can't. What you gonna lay $1 million to win a dime on LSU? You can't bet that.
No, I'm not. I'm staying away from that juice. I'm staying away from that juice. But look,
they did have an interesting series in Tucson. Is it Tucson in Arizona and Tennessee?
Yeah, they were in a tournament. Yeah, they were in a tournament. Okay. It was a weird tournament. They played at like 3 different ballparks. I don't know. Everyone was just celebrating that the bad boys of college baseball started 1 and 2. So look, hey, you've played 3 of 56. You got 53 more.
Well, let's get Jay Johnson. Let's ramp up this schedule a little bit. Give those season ticket holders their money's worth, Musso. Come on now, man.
Hey,
got the largest NIL budget in the country. Got the largest budget in the country. Go play somebody that can get out the snow, man, before Valentine.
Where are you tonight, Otter?
Sammy's Grill on Highland Road, man. Boiled crawfish. So, yes, indeed. A lot of people off for Mardi Gras. Eat boiled crawfish. Smells great over here. little hot boiled crawfish, cold beer on a Lundy Groff from Sammy's on Highland.
Great boiled crawfish at Sammy's, too. They've perfected the restaurant boiling of crawfish. It's fantastic. All right, Otter, we appreciate it, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
All right, Musso, thank you.
That is Jimmy Ott. Y'all tune in to Game Time with Jimmy Ott. Of course, he will follow us tonight from 6 to 8 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. You can also tune in live on the Jimmy Ott Game Time with Jimmy Ott Facebook page. Ooh, easy for you to say. That's going to wrap us up. Oh, actually, I should say Otter, the pick he gave out, if you missed it, was Illinois minus 14. They're hosting Minnesota in a makeup COVID game in 2023. Can you believe it? Wraps us up for today here on the Lundy Gras. We'll be back tomorrow, Mardi Gras Day, on After Further Review, updating Derek Carr and the Saints. Have we have any movement there? And we'll have updates from Alex Box Stadium as LSU will be in the midst of their first midweek action of the year against the 3-0 Southern Jaguars. That's all on tomorrow's After Further Review. Be here for that. We'll talk then.
AFR.
Always a pleasure to tell you about our friends at the Williamson Eye Center. Check them out online at williamsoneye.com. They've got locations all over the greater Baton Rouge area. On the Baton Rouge General Campus, I mean, you turn off a Bluebonnet onto Picardy, you make that right. And then right there at the stop sign, the building on the right, the first two floors, that's the Williamson Eye Center. State-of-the-art dry eye center, and it's full service. Of course, they have their state-of-the-art surgery center there where you can have your LASIK or whatever surgical procedure you're having. But they have your standard annual eye exam as well at the Williamson Eye Center. Learn more at williamsoneye.com. The thing I tell you every day is take the advice that I was given and change your life. To give yourself the gift of sight is absolutely incredible. If you're someone like me who spent your life with contacts or glasses, there is a way to be done with it forever. williamsoneye.com. Go see Dr. Blake Williamson for that free consultation. 924-2020. 924-2020 or williamsoneye.com for the Williamson Eye Center.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $10,000 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls Bands and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting with a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman.
Rockin' a hard place.
With Timothy Wayne, plus two-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
Women who suffer from cardiac arrest outside of a hospital are less likely than men to receive life-saving CPR from bystanders. This is especially true